in Konoha. At first, I annihilated the Sarutobi clan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126. Sakura is about to be beaten. Stop talking nonsense. Run or you will die. Niji shouted. Tenten and Rock Lee knew that Niji was a serious person. After hearing this, they did not dare to stop and quickened their pace. Only when they ran far enough away and saw that Kaina and the other two did not catch up, did Niji stop with trembling legs and sat down on the ground. Niji, what is going on? Tenten and Rock Lee also stopped and couldn't help asking. It was the first time they saw Niji's loss of composure. Niji took a deep breath and replied, just now I saw two extremely huge chakras on those two people, especially the bandaged man, which was simply bottomless. Even Teacher Gay is far inferior to him. Hearing this, Tenten took a breath and exclaimed, you mean, they are disguised by Jonin? It's possible. Niji sighed. Then should we report to Teacher Gay now? Rock Lee suggested. Not yet. Niji refused decisively without any hesitation. The purpose of his participation in this Chunin exam was not only to become a Chunin. He wanted to defeat the eldest daughter of the main family, prove himself, and avenge his dead father. If this matter was reported, the Chunin exam would most likely be stopped early. This was something he didn't want to see. Why? Rock Lee was puzzled. At present, it seems that they haven't done anything out of line. Even if we go to report them, we can't do anything to them without sufficient evidence. In addition, we still need to conduct this exam. It won't be too late to report this matter after obtaining the missing scroll. Niji gave a convincing reason. On the other side, Kaina listened to the conversation of several people in the state of observation haki. Is that the Byakugan? It can actually distinguish the strength of a person by observing the flow of chakra in the human body. It's really an incredible bloodline limit. Looking at the direction where Niji and the other two were going, Yi Kang pondered for a moment and asked hesitantly, but Master Kainai, if we let that little brat from the Hyuga family go, wouldn't that mean we are exposed? It doesn't matter. If we just hide, wouldn't this trip to Konoha be a lot less fun? Besides, I'm looking forward to the third generation and his eunuch son seeing me, the enemy who destroyed their clan, after the third round of exams. Kainai smiled lightly, shaking the index, middle, and ring fingers of his right hand, and performing the puppet control technique he learned from Scorpion. 3 chakra lines burst out, and flew into the sky. Ah! Accompanied by 3 screams of varying lengths. Toss, Sak, and Kin, the sound ninja trio, were pulled down from the tree by Kainai. Their necks were tightly wrapped by the chakra lines, and they couldn't breathe. Toss pulled the chakra line on his neck with all his strength, resisting the pain of suffocation, and spoke with difficulty. Master Kainai, spare us. We are the subordinates of Master Orochimaru. Kainai said, oh, a flash of surprise in his eyes, let go of the 3 people, and asked with interest, do you know me? The 3 people were relieved and gasped for air. Toss said respectfully, I was in a Togakya, and I had the honor to see you and Master Kimimero fighting from afar, and then I heard your name from the master next to you, and then I knew your identity. This is our scroll, please accept it. As he spoke, Toss handed over the scroll of earth very respectfully. Kainai raised his hand and sucked it, and the scroll of earth automatically fell into his hand. He looked at the 3 people who were in a panic with interest, and asked knowingly, what mission did Orochimaru assign you? This. The 3 looked at each other. They knew that, if they didn't answer, they would probably die on the spot. Toss hesitated for a moment and said, find Sasuke, and wait until tomorrow morning to kill him. Then I'll give you a task as well. Kainai knew that this was a test from Orochimaru to the 2nd pillar, and he tossed the scroll in his hand lightly, saying with a hint of playfulness, please go ahead. Toss's throat rolled, and he swallowed his saliva. Among the 3 of them, there is a pink-haired woman. I want you to slap her 10 times in the face each after dawn without hurting her life. You can't touch the other yellow-haired kid either. As for Sasuke, if you have the ability to kill him, then go ahead and kill him. Kainai chuckled. Yes, Lord Kainai. Although Toss didn't know what Kainai's purpose was, He agreed to it without conflicting with his own mission. Then, under Kainai's gaze, he left in fear. It was impossible not to agree, because they knew that the person in front of them was someone that even Lord Orochimaru was afraid of. Watching the three figures going away, Ye Kang couldn't help laughing anymore. Master Kainai, do you have a grudge against that Sakura? No, I just think she deserves a beating. Kainai shrugged slightly. In his previous life, when he watched anime, he saw her asking for help when she had something to do, and asking for help when she had nothing to do. He thought about beating her more than once. When Kainai and Ye Kang arrived, Orochimaru and Team 7, no, to be more precise, the battle with Naruto and Sasuke has come to an end. He happened to see such a scene. Naruto burst out the power of the Nine Tails, and tried his best to protect the two pillars and Sakura, who were scared by Orochimaru. As a result, because of the huge gap in strength, Orochimaru's 5-element seal forcibly cut off the connection with the Nine Tails. Fainted. Hanged on the tree. Sasuke was trembling with fear. Sakura knelt on the tree trunk and cried. Uchiha Itachi, who arrived early, hid in the dark, and watched everything quietly, frowning. He was annoyed that Orochimaru bullied the second pillar, and was disappointed with the second pillar's incompetence and cowardice. Fortunately, Sakura's tears were still useful. Her crying made the second pillar think of Daishoji, suppress the fear in his heart, and fight with Orochimaru. Seeing this scene, Itachi finally showed a relieved smile on his face. It's really rare. You can actually smile. Are you happy that the second pillar has grown up? Kainai's voice suddenly sounded in Daishoji's ear. Then he and Ye Kang appeared beside Uchiha Itachi. How is the situation over there? Itachi glanced at Kainai. On the surface, he didn't care, but he was more and more afraid of Kainai in his heart. He didn't expect Kainai to appear behind him quietly with Ye Kang. This method of concealing the breath is really shocking. The scrolls are already in hand. Kainai took out the scrolls of heaven and earth. While the two were talking, Naruto and Orochimaru had already separated their battles. Orochimaru stretched his neck and bit Naruto's neck, planting the Heaven's Curse seal. Naruto was immediately in excruciating pain and roared to the sky. Seeing this, Sakura desperately hugged Sasuke and burst into tears, crying and shouting, "Naruto! Sasuke is in so much pain. Come and save Sasuke." Naruto PS. Second update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 127 Ye Kang's request. The third generation loves Danzo. Seeing this, Sakura desperately hugged Sasuke and burst into tears, crying and shouting, "Naruto! Sasuke is in so much pain. Come and save Sasuke." Naruto. But how could Naruto, who had already lost consciousness, hear her? Finally, Sakura stopped crying, wandered in place, and spoke with difficulty. "What should I do?" Ye Kang saw all this, and a hint of disgust suddenly appeared in his eyes, which was towards Sakura. She said to Kainai, "Master Kainai, I think I finally understand why you don't like this woman." Kainai said oh, and asked with interest, "Tell me about it." Ye Kang said seriously, "When nothing happens, you are disgusted with this kid named Naruto, and you are crazy about Itachi's brother. When something happens, you keep calling Naruto, Naruto. It's obvious that both of them were held back by her, and they were injured in order to protect her, but in the end, they only care about this guy named Sasuke. I really feel sorry for this kid named Naruto." That's a sharp point. But these have nothing to do with us. Let's go to the central tower. Kainai stood up, left these words, and disappeared on the tree trunk. Ye Kang followed closely. Itachi was left standing there, looking at the painful Nejiru, with uncertain eyes. After a little hesitation, he split a shadow clone to stay here, to watch over him in secret. Only then did he feel relieved to chase in the direction where Kainai left. On the way to the central tower, Kainai took a detour and headed towards Hinata. "Master Kainai, aren't we going to the central tower?" Ye Kang glanced at Itachi, who followed him, and asked with some confusion. "No hurry, our other mission is to explore the intelligence of the Jinchuriki. It just so happens that the one-tailed Jinchuriki I sensed is nearby, so we can go and observe him." Kainai made up a reason. He would never admit that he was going to see little Hinata. Soon, the three of them arrived at their destination, and happened to encounter the scene in the original work where Gaara first showed his ability and slaughtered the 3 dragon sets of Rain Ninja. Hinata, Inuzuka Kiba, Shino, Akamaru, 3 people and 1 dog hid in the bushes, trembling with fear at Gaara's ability. Master Kainai, it seems to be from the Rain Ninja village. How about it? Do you want to save people? Yikang looked at the middle-aged Rain Ninja who was already wrapped by Gaara's sand and slowly rose into the air below, and asked hesitantly. This guy was the first one in the original novel to be crushed into a bloody rain by Gaara's sandstorm burial. Do you want to save him? Kainai's heart moved, and he released the shadow clone that was secretly protecting Hinata, and threw the topic back to Yikang. Yikang hesitated for a while, nodded and said, after all, she is from the leader's village. I can see that Miss Xiaonan loves the people in the village, if possible. Then save her. Anyway, after this exam, we will be exposed. Kainai's voice fell and disappeared on the spot. Just when Gaara held up the umbrella and was about to clench his fist to perform the sandstorm burial to crush the middle-aged Rain Ninja, Kainai suddenly appeared and clamped Gaara's right hand. The speed was so fast that even the sand that Gaara's mother turned into did not react. And the sand that bound the middle-aged Rain Ninja lost Gaara's control, turned into loose sand, and fell to the ground with the Rain Ninja. The middle-aged Rain Ninja who survived the catastrophe was frightened and turned pale. He collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, and stared at Kainai who suddenly appeared with a dull look. When Temari and Kankuro behind Gaara were shocked. It was the first time they saw someone touch Gaara. Who are you? Feeling the burning pain from his wrist, Gaara noticed Kainai who suddenly appeared. Although he was also shocked, his face was still neither happy nor sad. He asked indifferently, who are you? Just an ordinary genin, Kainai answered with narrowed eyes. Do you want to save them? Gaara glanced at the 3 Rain Ninjas opposite, and his eyes became colder. It's not that I want to save them, but someone doesn't want to see them die. How about it, panda-eyed boy, give me a face. I'll let them keep the scroll, and you let them go. Kainai negotiated. Faced with Kainai's proposal, Gaara did not answer again, but controlled the sand to attack Kainai. Kainai let go of Gaara's hand and easily avoided it. Gaara's young face showed a sickly hideous smile. He controlled the sand that had bound the middle-aged Rain Ninja before, and attacked Kainai from behind. Seeing Kainai being bound by the sand, Temari and Kankuro breathed a sigh of relief, thinking to themselves that Gaara was indeed more powerful. Akamaru, who was hiding in the dark among the 3 people and 1 dog of teammate, suddenly whimpered softly in the trembling arms of Kiba. Kiba, what's wrong with Akamaru? Hinata suppressed the fear in her heart and asked in a low voice. It seems that the bandaged man who suddenly appeared just now is more dangerous than the guy with the sand. Kiba's eyes showed a trace of fear, and he translated in a trembling voice. Hearing this, Shino looked solemnly at Kainai, who was completely wrapped by Gaara's sand in the field. At this moment, Gaara was already a little impatient. He held up the umbrella again, trying to pull Kainai into the air and crush him with sand, but found that, no matter how he moved, he could not lift the sand. In shock and anger, he gathered his 5 fingers into a fist and directly cast a sandstorm on the ground. The imagined scene of blood spilling did not appear. Suddenly, Kainai's clear voice rang out in the sand pile. Is this your ninjutsu? It's quite interesting. As the voice fell, a huge amount of chakra burst out from the sand pile, instantly dispersing all the sand. Looking at Kainai, he was still standing there, maintaining the previous posture, with a calm expression and no damage. How is it possible that chakra alone can disperse Gaara's sand? Seeing this scene, Kankuro could no longer control his emotions and shouted excitedly. What do you think, panda-eyed boy? My suggestion is still valid. The same goes for the blonde beauty and the puppeteer behind you. Keep fighting, and you 3 may die today. Kainai reminded with a harmless face. Who exactly is this guy? A drop of cold sweat flowed from Kankuro's forehead. After thinking for a moment, he began to persuade Gaara. But Gaara ignored him at all. In the end, it was Temari who spoke up, and Gaara reluctantly agreed, but the look he gave Kainai was more murderous. Obviously, at this moment, Kainai has become a person ranked above the 2nd pillar on Gaara's must-kill list. Kainai ignored Gaara's murderous eyes, and glanced at the 3 Rain Ninjas behind him, who handed over the scroll in fear and trepidation. Kainai took the scroll without even looking at it, and threw it to Gaara and the other 2 PS. The 3rd update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 128 Sakura was beaten. Okay, get out of here. Don't embarrass yourself here. If I see you in the next exam, I will kill you if others don't. Kanai sent the three away. Yes, yes. Thank you for saving my life, sir. The three rain ninjas didn't know Kanai, they just thought he was a big shot in the hidden rain village. When they heard that they were asked to leave, they didn't dare to stay any longer. They hurriedly thanked him, wishing their parents had more legs, and hurriedly fled from here. At this moment, Gaara's voice sounded behind Kanai. Hey, bandage man, what's your name? Kanai was stunned, thought for a moment, and replied, the third generation loves Danzo. Okay, the third generation loves Danzo, I remember you, and we will meet next. Gaara threw the scroll to Kankuro, left a harsh word, and disappeared on the spot. Temari and Kankuro looked at Kanai with fear, and followed closely. As the three left, Uchiha Itachi and Yikang jumped down from the tree trunk. Aren't you claiming to be Doyu's stepfather? Uchiha Itachi's mouth twitched fiercely under his mask. Others might not know what the third Hokage loves Danzo, but how could he not know it? This guy is clearly hinting at the third Hokage loving Shimura Danzo. The two old men have a gay relationship. Anyway, the Sand Ninja kid doesn't know, so who cares? Kanai shrugged slightly. Yikang glanced in the direction of the haystack and asked hesitantly, Master Kandoyu, do you want to take care of these little brats? Let's go. Let them go. Kanai turned his gaze to the haystack, and Hinata happened to look over. The two looked at each other. Kanai smiled gently, nodded at her, and disappeared in a flash. He reappeared on a tree trunk 100 meters away. In a few flashes, there was no figure. Yikang took a deep look in the direction of the haystack and followed closely. As for the filial son, who values Konoha more than his own parents, he naturally would not embarrass Hinata and the other Konoha genin. He never looked at Hinata and the other two, and followed them with the instant body technique. When Kanai and the other two left, Shino and Kiba leaned back, and sat on the ground, breathing heavily. Only Hinata looked at the direction where Kanai and the other two were going with a blank face, and murmured in her heart, why? That person gave me a familiar feeling. Could it be you? Big brother? I was scared to death. Who is that bandaged man? Even the sand ninja with a gourd on his back was defeated by him. Kiba stroked a Kamaru in his arms, and said with a trembling voice, I don't know. Shino shook his head, and then a strange shaped insect crawled out from between his fingers. He was stunned for a moment and added, but my insect told me that this person has a special smell. Special smell. Kiba was stunned. He was almost scared to death just now, and there was no time to perform the secret technique to enhance his sense of smell. As if to confirm what Shino said, a Kamaru in Kiba's arms barked a few times. Kiba exclaimed, are you talking about Teacher Hang? It's rare that Teacher Hang used some kind of perfume today, there's no doubt about it. Although the smell on that person is very faint, it really has the smell of Teacher Hang's perfume. Shino nodded. Doesn't that mean that he just let us go because of Teacher Hang? Kiba showed disbelief. That can't be confirmed. Shino sighed lightly, tilted his head to look at Hinata who was distracted, and murmured in his heart, he seemed to know Hinata. Is it my illusion? You guy, it's the same as not saying anything. Just ask Teacher Hang later. Kiba curled his lips in dissatisfaction, and turned his eyes to Hinata. Hey Hinata, it's time to go. Oh. Hearing this, Hinata finally came to her senses, breathed a sigh of relief, and thought to herself, could it be him? 5 days passed in a flash. After Kanai's team and Gaara's team gathered 2 scrolls, and arrived at the central tower, the Sound Ninja team, the Yakushi Kabuto team, the 12 little warriors of Konoha, and the remaining 6 teams that passed the exam and the original work also gathered the scrolls, and arrived at the central tower one after another. Among them, the Kanai team and the Gaara team, who gathered the scrolls the fastest, arrived at the central tower on the first day. And the one who arrived on the last day was undoubtedly the disaster-ridden Izumi team. The most miserable of the 3 was Sakura. Although her life was not in danger, and she was not disabled. But under Kanai's special care, the Sound Ninja team treated her well. Perhaps seeing Kanai's dissatisfaction with Sakura, Toss and the other 2 showed their fierce and brutal nature in order to please Kanai when they saw Naruto and Sasuke lost consciousness. Following Kainai's orders, without hurting Sakura's life, they caught her and beat her up. It was a horrible beating. The front teeth were knocked out, a piece of hair was torn off, revealing a wide forehead. There are still many slap marks on her face. She is almost half disfigured. Now her head is wrapped in a headscarf and her face is covered with bandages. It is so miserable and miserable. It can be said that before her hair grows out, before her front teeth are filled, and before the slap marks disappear, she has almost become a completely ugly monster. Except for Oakley, who is loyal to her, and Ino, a rival who taunts her madly, almost no one is willing to get close to her. Naruto wanted to get close to comfort her, but was punched back by her. And she wanted to get close to Sasuke, but was rejected by Sasuke, and got back at him. However, compared with Sakura's skin injuries, Toss and the other two are even worse. Because Sakura was beaten unconscious by them for a time, without Sakura's saintly heart, when Sasuke exploded the curse seal, Sakura was originally only crippled by Sasuke with one arm. This time, the whole arm was removed, and he became a one-armed man. Jin was a little better, but he was beaten by Sasuke, and looked like Sakura. As for Toss, who is known as the Six Paths among the majority of Naruto fans, although he still prayed to the second pillar as in the original work, he still could not escape the end of disability. One leg was broken, his body was covered with bruises, and he still has to use crutches. It can be said that they have been completely abandoned by Orochimaru. The only value of their use is to serve as a living sacrifice for the impure world reincarnation and to give Orochimaru the opportunity to enter the central tower and observe the second pillar with his own eyes. Because every team leader who passed the second round of the exam will go to the central tower to watch the third round of the exam preliminaries. All of this did not escape Kainai's perception. But these are no longer important to Kainai. The central tower. The interior is a huge arena without partitions. It is a place specifically used for the third round of the assessment preliminaries. There is a corridor for watching the battle on the high side of the wall area. At this time, including Kainai's team, 8 teams, a total of 24 people, lined up neatly in the center of the arena. PS. First update, asking for recommendation votes, asking for monthly votes. Thanks to bookfriend *** 9920 for the reward of 7500 starting coins. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 Farewell to Sarutobi and his son. In front of the examinees, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was talking eloquently while holding a pipe in his mouth. On the left of the Hokage stood the examiner of the first examination room, Marino Ibiki, and the Chunin no Iruka, who volunteered to come and lead the 12 warriors of Konoha. On the right stood Gekko Hayate, who died before Shippuden, and the examiner of the second examination room, Mitara Shianko. As for Hatake Kakashi, Might Guy, Sarutobi Asuma, Yuhi Kurenai, Maki, Orochimaru dressed as the Otogakure Jonin, and other Konoha or non-Konoha leading Jonin, they stood behind Sarutobi Hiruzen. Chiya stood at the front of the examinee team. His eyes swept over the group of people in front with interest. When he looked at Yuhi Kurenai, she happened to look over. Chiya saw a hint of hidden worry in her eyes, and then responded with a relieved look. Finally, he set his eyes on Sarutobi Hiruzen and Asuma Sarutobi, the father and son. Compared to the night of the genocide 5 years ago, Sarutobi Hiruzen has aged a lot. His face is covered with wrinkles. Those uneven lines are like mottled marks on the wall, crawling all over his face, leaving traces of time. There are even corpse spots on his face. Sarutobi Asuma has not changed much. He has long black hair, wearing a black tight combat uniform, with green Jonin chainmail on the outside. There are red symbols of the Dark Department on his shoulders and back. There is a mark of the Far Country emblem on his waist, and he never forgets to hold a cigarette in his mouth. If there is a change, it is that the iconic goatee is gone. Perhaps it is because Kainai castrated him and fed him the water of the Alphabet River. The estrogen in his body surged. Sarutobi Asuma's appearance began to lean towards femininity. His skin became whiter than before, and he even applied light makeup and a thick Barbie-colored pastel on his lips. If you don't know, you might think that a shemale ran out of nowhere. Kainai almost vomited the overpass meal. After a long speech, Sarutobi Hiruzen finally finished his speech. As in the original work, the referee of the third round of the preliminaries, Gekao Hayate, explained the key points of this game to everyone, but Kabuto wanted to see what Kainai's purpose was, so he did not withdraw as in the original work for fear of exposing his strength. The third round of the exam preliminaries officially began. The wall above the arena slowly opened, revealing a large screen. The names of 2 candidates will appear on the screen, and they will fight to get the qualification for the third round of the exam. Unlike the first game in the original work, the 2 pillars fought against Akadoke. Because Kainai and the other 2 and Kabuto joined, it became a massacre in OVS Kainai's role as sheltering from the rain. Suddenly, almost all the candidates in the field breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, some people couldn't help but show pity and teasing eyes to Ino. Because anyone with a little insight can see that among all the genin candidates, Kainai's definitely the most difficult to mess with. "Ah, I'm safer," Kimichi Choji shouted excitedly, because he couldn't control his emotions. Just now, just a little bit, Ino would have become him. Luckily she jumped over. It was a close call. He had seen Kainai's horror. To kill him, it would probably be just a matter of a Kyuubi. Compared to Choji who survived the disaster, Ino was in a miserable state. She punched Choji on the head. She wanted to cry, but had no tears. She shouted, "Asshole, you are safe, but I'm miserable. What a trouble." Shikamaru glanced at Kainai with a serious expression, patted Ino's shoulder, and reminded in a low voice, "Ino, this is an extremely dangerous existence. Remember, don't show your killing intention to her, otherwise you will die." "Nonsense. Do you even need to tell me that?" Ino wiped her tears in fear, her eyes red. "No, you didn't understand me." Shikamaru shook his head, recalling the conversation between Kainai and Yikang that day, and said seriously, "On the other hand, as long as you don't show your killing intention to him, he won't kill you." Ino's eyes lit up. "Really?" Shikamaru nodded heavily. Kainai, who was not far away, heard the conversation between Shikamaru and Ino, and couldn't help but smile. Even he had to admit that Shikamaru was indeed smart. He was able to roughly judge the situation based on 3 or 2 meetings. On the other side, Inozuka breathed a sigh of relief inside. "That's a close call. Next, we just need to avoid the sand ninja with a gourd on his back to ensure our promotion." Hyuga Niji and Hiruno Sakura also breathed a sigh of relief. Niji thought to himself, "This guy, with this level of chakra, can't be a simple genin. I must observe him carefully later." Hiruno Sakura looked at Sasuke flatteringly, and because of the leak in her speech, she said inarticulately, "Sasuke, that's great. I heard from that guy Ino that the rain ninja killed 3 genin in seconds. It's great that we didn't meet him." "Really? I really hope to meet him," Neji said arrogantly. Unfortunately, he was only handsome for 3 seconds. The next moment, the pain transmitted by the curse seal made him gasp, and a look of pain appeared on his face. "Sasuke." Sakura was worried about Sasuke and wanted to help him, but was rejected by Sasuke. "Don't come over." Sakura thought Sasuke disliked her current ugliness, and her eyes couldn't help but moisten. "Sasuke, I." At this moment, Sasuke was in pain and had difficulty standing up. How could he care about Sakura's tears? He threatened, "If you dare to tell this to others, I will kill you. Also, if you have time to cry here, you might as well think about the next game. Among everyone, you are the weakest." "Sasuke, I." Hearing this, Sakura couldn't help it anymore, lowered her head, and tears silently fell from the corners of her eyes. She was disliked by Sasuke. And my sand ninja team is on the verge of an explosion at this moment. No. To be precise, Gaara himself is on the verge of an explosion. This guy's not called the 3rd generation AI Denso, but dodged rain. He lied to me. Gaara's eyes were full of bloodshot, and the second class had another attack. Most of his face was covered by shadows, and his voice was trembling. Suddenly, a cold chill filled the air. Kankuro looked at Temari with a serious expression, and both of them showed fear and helplessness in their eyes. They knew that Gaara was angry. Gaara, don't be angry. It's not worth it to get hurt because of that guy, Kankuro advised carefully. Shut up, or I'll kill you. Gaara threatened Kankuro in a very childish way, and the latter was so scared that he sighed and looked at Temari for help. Temari thought for a moment and advised, well, Gaara, don't you see there is a formal competition in the third exam? With that kid's strength, he will definitely be able to pass the preliminaries, and it won't be too late for you to meet again in the formal competition. PS. Second update, please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 130, Self-Exposure. Hearing this, Gaara's anger subsided a little. Just like Orochimaru, he stretched out his not-so-long tongue and licked his lips. A sick smile appeared on his face, and he murmured, then let him live a little longer. This is really a Chuanibayao. Seeing Gaara's Chuanibayao elapse, Kainai shrugged indifferently. He was naturally not bored enough to participate in such a battle. There was no sense of accomplishment even if he won. His real purpose was to plant Mirror Flower and Water Moon and my guy, and others who had not seen the release of Mirror Flower and Water Moon. I just don't know if Sarutobi Asuma, the eunuch, will go berserk after seeing this familiar Zanpakuto. At this time, the referee Gekao Hayate came over. Then the next first round Gekao Hayate coughed lightly, raised his hand, and pointed to the viewing platform against the wall, and said loudly, except for the two opponents, please move over there. Hearing this, everyone followed and walked to the viewing platform to stay with their respective instructors. Team 7, Kakashi's team. It's really hard for you, especially Sakura, who was beaten so badly. This was the first sentence Kakashi said after seeing Najima, Naruto and Sakura. Teacher Kakashi, you still said. Sakura glared at Kakashi in dissatisfaction, grinning and showing two leaky front teeth. Kakashi suppressed his laughter and said, well, sorry, I shouldn't make fun of you, but this is a lesson for you. Try to become stronger in the future. You know, you are far behind Naruto and Sasuke now. At this point, he suddenly looked at Sasuke with a painful expression on his face, and said in a deep voice, Sasuke, how do you feel? No problem. Sasuke endured the pain and spoke with difficulty. Kakashi saw that Sasuke was holding on, frowned and said, then you should do your best, but if you use the Sharingan in the next game, then I will stop the game. Damn it. Sasuke cursed in his heart, and the figures of Duyu, Gaara, Hyuga Neji, Rock Lee and even Naruto appeared in his mind. Using the Sharingan means using chakra, and chakra will react with the curse seal, causing it to explode. Sasuke naturally knows this, but even so, he has to persist. Not to become a Chunin, nor to get the so-called recognition of the Hokage, but to know what level of strength he has reached now. Is he still wasting his time? Teammate, Yuhi Kyunoi class. Teacher Kyunoi, do you know that bandaged man? Kiba stood beside Yuhi Kyunoi, and looked at Kanai. Yuhi Kyunoi was stunned. Why do you ask this? At the beginning of the second round of exams, we ran into him in the Death Forest. My bugs and Akamaru smelled the same fragrance on him as you did that day. Shino took over the topic and said sullenly, is that so? Yuhi Kyunoi's eyes flashed with panic. She couldn't tell the students that Kanai's fragrance was stained with her after a ridiculous night. But fortunately, it has completely dissipated now, and even Akamaru and Shino's bugs can't smell it. Do you really know him, teacher? Hinata asked with some expectation. If he really knew him, then he could be the person he knew. P.S. There is a bug in the Byakugan. Although it can see through objects, it cannot see through underwear. At most, it can only peek into the bathhouse. Refer to the mission to recapture the Kazakage, when Neji used the Byakugan to look at the outer path demon statue in the cave. Deidara, Sasori and other members of the Akatsuki organization were all wearing clothes. You think too much. How could I know the Rain Ninja? It is probably because he had a conflict with his companions on the day of the exam, and I stopped him, so he got infected. Yuhi Kyunoi said nonsense seriously. Class 10, Asuma class. Asuma sensei, do you think Ino can win? Akimichi Choju tilted his head to look at Sarutobi Asuma who was putting on makeup. He was used to it, and did not show any surprise on his face. He asked casually, how could he win? Without waiting for Asuma to reply, Shikamaru complained. Sarutobi Asuma was stunned, put away the mirror and cosmetics, and said in surprise, "Shikamaru, have you seen that rain ninja?" Shikamaru nodded and told him about his encounter with Chiya. "Is that so? It seems that this rain ninja is not comparable to ordinary genin." Asuma suddenly realized, but did not care too much. For elite jonin like them, it is easy to catch the kunai thrown by the genin, and then kill them. The third Madara, Might Guy class, Hyuga told his discovery in the Forest of Death. "You mean, the bandaged man has chakra stronger than all of us?" Gay said in surprise. "Yes, Teacher Gay." Niji nodded. "Could it be that Orochimaru is pretending to be him again?" Kay touched his chin, repeated his words, and said seriously, "I know, this matter is very serious. I will go to Kakashi and ask for his opinion, and then decide whether to report it to the Hokage." Well, now the first round of the game begins. Just as Kay was about to go to Kakashi, the voice of Moonlight Gale stopped him. In the center of the arena, Kyanai looked calm and behaved calmly. 30 steps away, Ino looked nervous. Cold sweat dripped down her forehead and slowly raised her right hand. "Ino pig, are you going to admit defeat?" Just as Ino was about to admit defeat, Sakura's provocation sounded from the high platform in the distance. Bawled Sakura, "I will not admit defeat." Hearing the sarcasm of her bad friend, Ino could no longer bear it, and the flame of fighting spirit immediately ignited in her eyes. However, she also knew that she could not win the opponent no matter what, so she immediately formed seals with both hands, intending to use the heart-changing technique to control the opponent to admit defeat. Kyanai did not mean to resist at all. The next moment, Ino's spirit successfully entered his body. Ino's body fainted on the spot. Unfortunately, before Ino could be happy, she sensed the huge chakra contained in Kyanai's body, and she was shocked. She subconsciously wanted to escape from Kyanai's body, but found that her spirit seemed to be imprisoned, and could not leave. At this moment, Kyanai's voice rang in her ear, "Don't worry, little girl, I won't hurt you." Different from the previous low and hoarse voice, the voice was very clear, giving people a feeling of spring breeze. In the stunned eyes of everyone present, Kyanai pretended to take out his sleeves and took out the Zanpakuto Kyoka Sujetsu from the system warehouse, whispering in his heart, "Shatter it, Kyoka Sujetsu." This is. Seeing this familiar Zanpakuto, Sarutobi Asuma and Kakashi's pupils shrank at the same time. Sarutobi Asuma will never forget the knife that slaughtered his people and cut off his descendants. Looking back at the bandaged man's appearance at this time, compared with Kyanai's appearance, the only pair of eyes that were not wrapped in bandages were so similar to Kyanai's. This man is back. PS. The third update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 131 Ino. Suddenly I feel that Sasuke is not so attractive anymore. Reset. Chakra is the product of the combination of spiritual energy and physical energy, and can be used to connect the spiritual energy between people. At this moment, Yamanaka Ino's spirit is in Kyanai's body, and she only feels a vast expanse of white. Under her feet is an endless lake, with rippling water, reflecting her delicate figure, like a flower in a mirror, a moon in the water. Ino couldn't help but exclaimed, "Father said that, if a person's spiritual power is strong to a certain extent, he can build a spiritual space of his own. Such a huge spiritual space, is it really possible for humans to do it? You are worthy of being the daughter of Senior Yamanaka Heiai, you know it very well. But don't worry, I don't mean to hurt you." A clear voice suddenly sounded beside Yamanaka Ino's ears, and Kyanai slowly walked out of the white world. At this time, Ino was still a child who had just graduated from the ninja school. She was not familiar with the world. When she saw Kyanai, who was wrapped in bandages, suddenly appear, she was startled and frightened. "What do you want to do? Don't come over here. Is it so scary? According to normal logic, shouldn't you ask me why I know your father?" Kyanai twitched his mouth and slowly untied the bandages on his body. The moment he untied the bandages, Ino's eyes suddenly lit up. What did she see? Handsome guy against handsome guy. A handsome guy who is more handsome than Sasuke. "Then why do you know my father?" Ino asked shyly, holding her face lightly with her jade hands. Her face flushed. "You are such a lovelorn maniac." Seeing Ino's expression, which was so understandable, Kainai's mouth twitched again and said, "Okay, let's stop chatting. These are not what you can know now. The reason why I met you here is just to learn about the mind-turning technique of your Yamanaka clan. Use the soul to concentrate the mind on one point, so as to release your own mental power, to seize and manipulate the control of the opponent's body. It is a very good ninjutsu. I think the reincarnation ninjutsu of Orochimaru should have borrowed from the mind-turning technique of your Yamanaka clan. You will go out by yourself later." After saying that, Kainai released Ino's mental confinement and disappeared in this white space. A burst of smoke suddenly exploded in the center of the arena. The smoke dissipated. Kakashi, Asuma, Sarutobi, Kyuubi, and Might Guy appeared around Kainai in a strange posture. Asuma Sarutobi appeared behind Kainai with two chakra swords in his hands. The chakra sword was only a few feet away from Kainai's neck, and it was also attached with wind escape chakra. The blade's curvature increased by several times. A pair of wind blades were formed, but they were restrained by Kakashi and Might Guy at the same time. 30 steps away, Kyuubi protected Ino, who had just awakened, looking at Kainai in front of her with disbelief. Just now, Asuma, whose mind was filled with hatred, didn't care that Ino's spirit was still in Kainai's body. He couldn't hold back any longer, took out Fian, performed a flash body, and rushed behind Kainai at a speed that only Elite Jonin could achieve. At the critical moment, Kakashi and Might Guy, who noticed Sarutobi Asuma's intention, looked at each other, and the two appeared to stop him. Kyuubi originally wanted to show up to protect Kainai, but Kainai didn't need his woman to protect him. At the same time, he didn't want her to be caught between Konoha, so he used the mirror flower and water moon to interfere with her 5 senses, making her mistakenly believe that Ino was Kainai. This is the scene now. "Kakashi, what are you two doing? Let me go. I want to kill this traitor." With a roar, Sarutobi Asuma struggled to break free, but he had already lost his lower body, so how could he be as strong as Kakashi and Might Guy? Not to mention that the strength of this pair of friends was better than his. Kei said with a serious expression, "Although I don't know why you want to attack this bandaged guy, but I believe in Kakashi's judgment." And Kakashi had rolled up his forehead protector at some point, revealing a scarlet Sharingan. He said solemnly, "Calm down, Asuma. I can understand your mood at the moment, but now is the Chunin exam. As the organizer, no matter what happens, we have to wait until the exam is over. And if you take action now, your disciple will die." At this point, Kakashi tilted his head to look at Kainai and said in a deep voice, "You wanted to kill him just now, right? Look at what you said. It was obviously this androgynous Jonin from your Konoha who suddenly ran out to attack me during the competition between me and his disciple. The famous copy ninja, Sharingan Kakashi, can't lie with his eyes open." Kainai gave Yuhi a reassuring look, and under the complete hypnosis of Jinghua Shuiyu, he said in a voice that only Yuhi could hear, "Ken, pretend not to know me, and then share the same hatred of the enemy with Kakashi and the others." A trace of worry flashed across Yuhi eyes. She took a deep breath and said, "I know. Then you should be careful, you bastard." Sarutobi Asuma shouted and was about to attack again, but suddenly Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice came to his ear, "Enough, Asuma." "But, old man." Asuma tilted his head and looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, his bloodshot pupils full of unwillingness. Sarutobi Hiruzen slightly lowered his Hokage hat, making it impossible to see his facial expression. "Kakashi is right. Now is the Chunin exam. No matter what, we have to wait until the Chunin exam is over. You are worthy of being the strongest Hokage in history. You want to kill me more than anyone else, but you can still endure it until now. You are worthy of the name of the strongest." Kainai deliberately emphasized the word strongest, but anyone could hear the sarcasm in his words. As soon as this was said, there was an uproar in the field. Except for a few people like the second pillar, all the Konoha ninjas had angry eyes. Among them, Naruto, who was the most brainwashed by the will of fire, or who had the will of fire himself, couldn't control his emotions and screamed madly, "Who is that bandaged bastard? How dare he mock Grandpa Hokage?" "Shut up, Naruto," Sasuke scolded. He looked at Kainai again with a solemn look. He thought to himself, "Who is this bandaged man? Why are Kakashi and other Jonin and even the third Hokage himself so afraid of him? And listening to Kakashi's tone, it seems that if he hadn't stopped Asuma just now, Sarutobi Asuma would have died on the spot. It's really unbelievable. But Sarutobi Asuma is an elite Jonin. The bandage man is just a genin. No matter how powerful he is only at the level of genin and chunin. Can he really kill the opponent instantly when an elite Jonin attacks? PS. First update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 130 To the Calm Before the Storm. Reset. Sarutobi Hiruzen ignored Kainai's ridicule, waved his hand, and said loudly, "Let's continue the game." "Yes, Lord Hokage." Moonlight Hayate responded respectfully. Because of Sarutobi Asuma's interference, Yamana Kurino, as her disciple, should have lost the game on the spot. But Kainai's voice suddenly rang out from the side. "No need to compete. I admit defeat." "Are you serious?" Moonlight Hayate was stunned and asked with some uncertainty. "Of course." Kainai nodded, and then pretended to be in a trance. Ino's spirit left her body, returned to her body, and then slowly woke up. After Ino woke up, she looked at Kainai with a crazy face, and looked at the bandaged face again. She didn't feel so disgusted, but gave her a feeling of holding a lute and half covering her face. It added a touch of mystery invisibly. Not only handsome, powerful, but also very gentle, very humble to her lady. Instantly made her feel that Sasuke, who was pestered by Sakura all day, was not fragrant. Unfortunately, the opponent is from the Hidden Rain village. After the Chunin exam, the two will have almost no chance to meet again. Alas. What a pity. Amid Ino's sigh and the confused eyes of most people in the field, Moonlight Gale announced the result of the game. So, in the first round, Yamana Kurino wins. You can rely on this? Shikamaru, am I seeing right? Ino can actually beat that scary bandage man. Choji widened his eyes, and his round little eyes flashed with disbelief. TSK, it's really troublesome, who knows? Shikamaru glanced at the people in the arena, and said with a TSK. Although he said so, his brain with an IQ of more than 200 was already working quickly. First of all, Ino will never be able to defeat the bandage man who can make all the Jonin and even the third Hokage afraid. There is no doubt about this. Then Asuma looked like he wanted to eat his flesh alive. The bandage man himself claimed that the third Hokage wanted to kill him more than anyone else. That is to say, this bandage man was probably originally a ninja of this village. However, it seems that he has become a traitor now. So the question is, who is this bandage man? Suddenly, Shikamaru felt a flash of lightning in his mind. He remembered what the bandage man said in the Forest of Death, and suddenly asked Choji, "Choji, did you ever tell me that you have a cousin who served in the Red Teacher's team?" "Yeah, what's wrong?" Choji asked with a confused look on his face. "I think I know who this bandage man is." Nera Shikamaru forced a smile, and a drop of cold sweat left his frowning corners. There is no mistake. He can make the third Hokage, and assume I hate him to the bone, and at the same time, like Choji's cousin, he has served in the Sunset Red team. So his identity is self-evident. The culprit suspected of massacring the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, Fujiwara Chiya, a man known as the most vicious criminal in the history of Konoha. Who is he? At this moment, Naruto suddenly appeared behind Shikamaru and Choji, put his arms around their shoulders, and asked carelessly, "Naruto, you don't know that scaring people can kill them." Shikamaru sighed lightly, and was about to answer, but suddenly remembered that when he was in ninja school, Naruto often told him about Fujiwara Chiya. He sighed helplessly, and shook his head. "No, nothing." "Really, Shikamaru, you always like to say only half of the words." Naruto curled his lips in boredom. At this moment, the voice of Moonlight Gale was heard again in the field. "Well, the first round is over. The winner is Yamana Kurino, so please move to the viewing platform." Then, Ino came over with a crazy look on her face, and she kept muttering, "So handsome." When passing by Nibiru, Sakura saw Ino with the posture of a winner, thinking that the other party was going to snatch Nibiru from her, so she hurriedly blocked Nibiru and warned, "Asshole Ino bore, stay away from Sasuke." Ino was stunned. "Ah, isn't this the bald Sakura? Your wide forehead is exposed again. Also, your teeth seem to be leaking again. You bastard." Sakura was so angry that her face turned blue, but she didn't dare to show it in front of Nibiru, so she had to pretend to be soft, turned around and pounced on Nibiru, trying to win his sympathy. Sasuke, look at him. Seeing Sakura's two leaking front teeth and the exposed scalp, Sasuke felt a chill in his heart. He turned sideways and made Sakura fall to the ground. He ignored Sakura lying on the ground in pain, but looked at Ino and asked solemnly, "What happened when you fought with the bandaged man just now?" Ino thought for a moment and said, "How should I put it? I used the heart turning technique to control him, but he took me into the mental space and said a lot of things I couldn't understand. But don't think he looks good with bandages. I'll tell you secretly that he is actually a handsome guy." Handsome guy? Sasuke was speechless. He found that he shouldn't ask this nympho. On the other side, Kainai had returned to the audience stand opposite Sasuke. Kakashi, Asuma, Kyuubi, and Might Guy returned to the stands with him. They stood next to Sarutobi Hiruzen and reported the situation to him. "Is it really okay to expose yourself so easily like this?" Daisaiozi glanced at Kainai. Kainai smiled. "What does it matter? The old man, the third Hokage, is going to die anyway, and I'm his enemy who wiped out his clan. I should at least let him see me before he dies." "But, Lord Kainai, didn't you say that the third Hokage had a trick of dying together? Wouldn't it be very dangerous to face him like this?" Yi Kang said hesitantly. Kainai smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, although the old man hates me to the core, he cares more about his reputation after death than his hatred for me. You must know that people only have one life. Even if he is going to die, the old man will not die in this kind of occasion. Instead, he chose to sacrifice himself when Konoha suffered huge damage and was in full view of everyone. In this way, after he dies, the villagers of Konoha will not forget him so quickly. No matter how many stupid things he did in his life, he can still become a hero like the modern predecessors of Hokage who sacrificed himself to protect the village. It just so happens that Orochimaru's Konoha's collapse this time is what he wants." Uchiha Itachi frowned and said, "All the high-end combat power of Konoha is gathered here. I hope you can still laugh later. From what you said, it seems that you are planning to stay out of it." Kainai showed a dangerous smile on his face. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 133 Yi Kang beats Sakura. My mission is to ensure that the first Hokage can no longer be resurrected by the impure world reincarnation. Everything else has nothing to do with me. Daisaiozi said coldly. Then you just watch carefully, but I know exactly what kind of person you are. Don't try to play tricks on me later, otherwise I will kill your stupid Itoto as soon as possible. Kainai threatened with a dangerous smile on his face. Hearing this, Daisaiozi frowned and said nothing more. Kainai tilted his head and said to Yi Kang, your ability is too ostentatious. When you go out, just stand aside and watch." "Yes, Lord Kainai." Yi Kang responded respectfully and stood behind Kainai. The first game ended hastily. At this point in the game, the plot has begun to mess up. In the second game, the armless Saku vs. Kankuro, he was strangled to death by Kankuro's puppet crow. But this is also a blessing in disguise. At least, he avoided the fate of being a sacrifice for the impure world reincarnation in the original work. In the third match, Ken Misumi fought against Shino. Ken Misumi's ligaments were chewed by Shino's bugs, and she was on the verge of paralysis. In the fourth match, Shikamaru fought against Kin. Shikamaru won with his super intelligence. In the fifth match, Naruto fought against Akatsuki. Because Naruto had too much chakra, Akatsuki absorbed too much chakra and was directly choked to death. In the sixth match, Kabuto fought against Itachi. At this stage, Kabuto naturally did not dare to fight with the mysterious members of the Akatsuki organization, even if they were interns. After all, he knew that everyone who could enter that organization was a monster. Originally, he wanted to fight a few times and admit defeat directly, but Itachi was too lazy to leave the viewing platform and gave up directly. In the seventh match, Najera vs. Inuzuka, Najera injured the pain of the curse seal and narrowly defeated Inuzuka. In the eighth match, Yi Kang vs. Hiruno Sakura. How could this happen? Knowing that her opponent was a rain ninja, Sakura's heart instantly sank and she collapsed to the ground. In her opinion, the reason why No was able to remain unharmed when facing the Rain Ninja was entirely because of the intervention of Kakashi and many other jonin. At this moment, asking her, a genin who knows no other techniques except the three-body technique, to challenge the bandaged man's companions, isn't that asking her to die? At this time, Kakashi, who had finished talking with the Sandai and others, came over with the injured Sasuke. He glanced at the big screen of the preliminaries, patted Sakura's shoulder, and sighed. Give up. This level of opponent is not something you can handle now. He guessed that the female ninja next to Kainai was, as expected, the same one he met in the Land of Waves. Teacher Kakashi Sakura was so moved that she almost cried when she heard that. But when she saw Sasuke standing beside her and thought of the victorious Naruto, her eyes became firm again. She wiped her tears and said, "No, Teacher Kakashi, since Sasuke and Naruto have both won, I want to go too." You looking at Sakura's firm eyes, Kakashi didn't know what to say at this moment. You know, she was about to face an opponent that even he might not be able to defeat. Considering that he didn't want to undermine his student's self-confidence, Kakashi had no choice but to agree, and sighed. "Okay, I'll say hello to K later. If your life is in danger, he will stop you at any time." "Thank you, Teacher Kakashi." Sakura breathed a sigh of relief when she heard that, and then asked, "Then Teacher Kakashi, aren't you and Sasuke here to watch the game?" "Yeah." Kakashi glanced at Sasuke and said seriously, "I believe you know something about Sasuke's situation. I need to solve that troublesome curse seal for him, and..." At this point, he glanced sideways at Kainai. "And what?" Sakura was puzzled. Kakashi shook his head. "No, it's nothing. Just work hard on yourself. Although I usually advocate that you don't give up easily, no matter what you do, but today is an exception." As he spoke, he took Sasuke out of the central tower. Watching Kakashi and the other two walking away, Sakura was slightly distracted. At this moment, Naruto's cheers came from not far away. "Come on, Sakura. Defeat that gloomy weird woman for me." Sakura raised her right hand as a response and slowly walked towards the audience stands. At this moment, she was already wiping tears from her heart. If she had known that Sasuke would not watch the game, she would have listened to Kakashi's advice and given up. Now, with Naruto shouting, she couldn't bring herself to give up, even if she wanted to, so she had to bite the bullet. Seeing that Sakura dared to fight, Yikang's eyes flashed with surprise, and he nodded to Kainai. After getting Kainai's permission, he formed a seal with his right hand, and the whole person turned into a puff of smoke, disappeared from the spot, and appeared again, already next to the referee. The field suddenly became quiet, including the eyes of all the senior ninjas. A solemn look flashed across their eyes. Naruto looked at Shikamaru beside him and asked hesitantly, "Shikamaru, that rain ninja looks very powerful. Can Sakura win?" "No. With that level of chakra, I'm afraid that few of the Jonins present can match her." Without waiting for Shikamaru to answer, Neji walked over with his eyes rolled. Rock Lee followed behind Neji. "Naruto, although I don't want to admit it, I'm afraid Sakura is in danger this time." "Jonin?" Naruto was stunned and asked in confusion, "Among Genin, is there really someone who can defeat Jonin?" "Idiot, don't you understand what Nisi means? This woman is not a Genin at all." Shikamaru took over the topic. Naruto exclaimed, "Ah, doesn't that mean Sakura is in danger now?" "No, I'm going to find Teacher Kakashi." At this moment, Might Guy walked over and stopped him. "It's useless. The other party's identity is reasonable and legal, and no one stipulates that Genin with strength above Jonin cannot participate in the Chunin exam. Unless she is not a ninja from the Hidden Rain Village, but a fake. This is not impossible. After all, the identity of Fujiwara Chiya has been basically confirmed. The Hokage has also issued a pursuit mission. The result will be known after the preliminaries are over." Naruto turned around. "Unless what?" "Nothing." Might Guy shook his head. "Anyway, Kakashi has told me, if her life is in danger later, I will take action." While they were talking, the battle between Yikang and Sakura had already begun. Sakura took out a kunai from the ninja tool bag and swallowed hard. 30 steps away, Yikang looked calm and composed. "Begin." With the order of Moonlight Gale, the battle officially began. Sakura suppressed the fear in her heart, First threw a few kune as a feint, and then rushed over in one step. PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 134 Chiya vs Konoha's Jonin. Yi Kang didn't even look at it. He just caught the kune and returned it. The kune pierced Sakura's body with a puff, causing her to fall to the ground. Naruto saw this and shouted worriedly, "Sakura." Might Guy said on the side, "Don't worry, it's just a substitute." Although he said so, there was no joy on his face, because this level of means was too childish for a jonin. As soon as Might Guy finished speaking, there was a bang, the smoke dissipated, and Sakura turned into a wooden stake. She herself, holding a kune in her hand, went around Yi Kang's back. Good opportunity seeing this scene, Naruto exclaimed. So awesome. Unfortunately, it's often not more than 3 seconds. Just when Naruto thought Sakura was about to succeed, Yi Kang suddenly turned around, took the initiative, and slapped her to the ground with a slap. The scene suddenly became quiet. Yi Kang did not do anything again, just stood there and watched quietly. At this moment, Sakura felt her head buzzing, and her tender little face began to swell at a speed visible to the naked eye. It took a long while before she came to her senses. At this time, Naruto's encouraging voice came out again from the audience stands. "Come on, Sakura. This idiot." Hearing this, Sakura was about to cry out of grievance. How could this guy let her give up? Helplessly, Sakura could only bite the bullet and continue. As expected, she was slapped again. The direction of the Sound Ninja. At this moment, only Toss was left in the Sound Ninja trio. Beside him was Orochimaru, who had stayed until now because of Sasuke. He is really an unpredictable guy, but after the preliminaries are over, I'm afraid there will be something exciting to watch. I hope that the old guy of the third generation will not die so soon in Kainai's hands, otherwise it will be boring. Looking at Sakura, who was beaten up, Orochimaru suddenly felt bored. He looked at Kainai deeply, made seals with his hands, and a whirlwind blew up on the spot. He disappeared into the central tower. In the end, the match ended with Yi Kang admitting defeat, and Hiruno Sakura won the final victory. But Yi Kang's reason for admitting defeat was a bit weird, because she knew that Kainai hated this woman. She first beat her up, then taunted her crazily, and finally admitted defeat on the grounds that she was tired of fighting. This really made Konoha's genin very angry, but there was nothing they could do. In the 9th game, Hinata played against Neji. No one expected that Hinata, who has always been quiet and shy, would burst out with powerful strength and fight Neji on equal terms in soft fist. Even with the extremely pure Byakugan, Neji was caught off guard for a time. In the end, it was Neji who performed the revival of heaven to save the defeat. The 10th game, from the beginning, was almost the same as the original. Temari vs. Tenten. Temari won. The 11th game, Gaara vs. Rock Lee. Although it still ended with Gaara severely injuring Rock Lee, but this battle really amazed everyone, including Kainai. It was the most amazing in the preliminaries. In the 12th game, Toss vs. Akimichi Choji. Although Toss had a lame leg, Choji still lost, because of the difference in strength. In the end, the 12 games ended successfully. Of course, while the preliminaries were going on, Kakashi, Sarutobi, Asuma and other leading ninjas were not idle. Except for Yuhi Kyunai, who really sent Rock Lee to the hospital for treatment. The others went out on the pretext of escorting injured disciples and never came back. Suddenly, the atmosphere began to become extremely depressing. It was like a sign before the storm. There were a total of 12 winning ninjas. Except for Sasuke, who fell into a coma and was sent to Konoha Hospital due to the attack of the curse seal, the remaining 11 people began to draw lots. Shikamaru looked around and found that in the huge arena, in addition to the third generation who was hosting the draw for them, Iruka, Red Bean, and Yuhi Kyunai, who escorted Rock Lee to Konoha Hospital for treatment, Kakashi, Might Guy, Asuma, Sarutobi, Ibukima Rino, and even Gekao Gale and other Konoha Jonin or Special Jonin were gone. Shikamaru suddenly had an ominous premonition in his heart, thinking, I always feel that something bad is going to happen. On the other side, Kainai and the other two had already arrived at the outer area of the Death Forest. In front of him, there were Might Guy, Asuma, Sarutobi, and Ibukima Rino, who had been intercepted here in advance. Are you underestimated? I gave you so much time to prepare, but I only sent you 3. I thought that old guy Sarutobi Hiruzen would lead the team himself. Isn't he afraid that his last disabled son will die in my hands? Or is it that the self-proclaimed strongest Hokage of all generations is afraid of death? Kanai sensed the surroundings with his observation haki, and soon sensed the traces of Kakashi and Gekao Gale, and couldn't help but smile, pretending not to know. At this moment, Kakashi was hiding under a big tree not far behind the 3 people opposite. Moonlight Gale used the least noticeable ninjutsu to hide. As expected, Kakashi was going to hide in the dark, like he did in the original novel to deal with Kakuzu, and then use the Sharingan to observe the abilities of Kanai and the other 2, seize the flaws, and then launch a fatal attack with Moonlight Gale. You are such a traitor. You learned all your illusions from Hang. I won't fall for your illusions again this time. You have committed such a crime. Today, we will understand the new and old hatreds together. Sarutobi Izumi was gloomy, and the tesserated chakra knives quietly took their hands and got ready. Yeah, I think so too. Kanai slowly untied the bandages on his body, revealing his fair and handsome face, his medium-length black hair, and his red cloud black robe. Then, Uchiha Itachi and Yikang also took off their disguises, revealing their red cloud black robes, but the difference was that they all wore wind chime hats on their heads. It was obvious that the 2 did not want to reveal their identities. Uchiha Itachi felt that it was not the right time yet, and Yikang was asked by Chiya to hide her identity. Before the end of Konoha's collapse plan, the former Sand Village hero had not yet exposed his identity. Is this Fujiwara Chiya? He is indeed as young as the rumors say, but it's a pity that he has gone astray. Looking at Chiya's young face, Marino Ibiki frowned slightly. Don't be so arrogant, Marino Ibiki. You obviously don't know anything, but you act like an experienced person. Chiya quietly grasped the Zanpakuto in his hand and waved his hand. Uchiha Itachi and Yikang looked at each other, completely ignoring my guy, Sarutobi Izumi, and Marino Ibiki, and passed by them directly. What do you think? Do you want to chase? Marino Ibiki asked Sarutobi Izumi hesitantly. PS. Second update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Thanks to bookfriend ***** 55 for the reward of 5,000 starting coins. Chapter 135. One-sided battle. No, our target is Fujiwara Chiya. The other 2 seem to be from the same organization as Fujiwara Chiya, and their identities are unclear. They also have very powerful chakras and their abilities are unknown. Let them go. Sarutobi Izumi said in a deep voice. Then it seems that we only need to keep Fujiwara Chiya. Might Guy nodded. Leave me? Chiya smiled and put his left hand into his pocket. Why, is this funny? Might Guy frowned. No, it's not, but we don't seem to have any hatred, including Captain Marino Ibiki of Konoha's torture department. It can be said that before today, we had almost nothing to do with each other. Chiya said lightly. Marino Ibiki said on the side, you have committed such a crime in Konoha, don't you think it's too late to beg for mercy now? No, you misunderstood me. What I want to say is hatred. The reason why you are standing here today is just out of your responsibility to Konoha. You don't have any hatred for me in your heart. If you fight me with this mentality, let alone keep me, even touching the corner of my clothes is impossible. Kanai said calmly. Then what about me? Sarutobi Izumi's eyes turned red, and he stared at Kanai with a ferocious face. Kanai said indifferently, the hatred is enough, but it's a pity that your strength is too weak. You who were defeated in my hands at the beginning, didn't even have the qualifications to attack me. Or, have you forgotten how I castrated you and your nephew Sarutobi Konohamaru in front of you? And then fed you? Arsehole. Izumi shouted, and the wind escape chakra condensed on the flying swallows in both hands, instantly increasing the arc of the blade by more than several times, forming a sharp double knife. The chakra blade formed by the change of the wind chakra. It's quite a sight. It reminds me of your dead elder brother. He used the same trick on me before. Every word of Kanai was like a steel needle, deeply hurting Izumi Sarutobi's heart. At this moment, Izumi Sarutobi's anger had been suppressed to the extreme. Izumi shouted, take it. Fujiwara Chiya. Kanai smiled slightly, still keeping the posture of his left hand in his pocket, with an indifferent expression. It seems that you are disdainful of taking it. Asuma Sarutobi took a deep breath and rushed over waving his double wind blades. The blades collided, and the sparks from the collision were swallowed up by the fierce wind pressure the moment they appeared. Asuma Sarutobi kept the posture of crossing his double blades and was suppressed by Chiya's uppercut. In the dark, Kakashi, who only opened his left Sharingan, was suddenly startled and thought to himself, what a superb wind style change. He can attach the wind style chakra to the blade in a form that is imperceptible to the naked eye. With such terrifying power, he can suppress the wind blades emitted by Asuma with both hands with one hand. You rush over like this, you are risking your life, the son of the third Hokage. Kyanai held the blade calmly, slowly pressed it towards Asuma Sarutobi's shoulder, and chuckled. Feeling the powerful force transmitted from Kyanai's blade, Sarutobi Asuma was also shocked in his heart, but there was no sign of nervousness on his face. He sneered, Fujiwara Kyanai, I should praise you for not using illusions on the first strike. Didn't you use illusions on the first strike? Kyanai smiled, raised his left hand in his pocket, and made a blocking gesture. No, I should praise you for not being stupid enough to rush over alone. As soon as the voice fell, Might Guy's steel leg kicked over and landed on Kyanai's blocking arm. At the same time, Might Guy's rough voice echoed in everyone's ears. Konoha Goriki Cyclone. How could you catch my Konoha Goriki Cyclone with one hand? Might Guy maintained the backspinning kick, felt the sting in his Achilles tendon, and lost his voice in horror. Ake retreats the wind now. Sarutobi Asuma shouted. Moonlight Wind, who used the transparent escape technique to hide in the dark, drew out his saber and suddenly rushed out, forming a seal with his right hand, creating two shadow clones. Asuma Sarutobi and Might Guy retreated violently and distanced themselves from Kyanai. Konoha style sword art, 3-day moon dance. The two clones of Moonlight Gale and the original body quickly appeared in front of Kyanai, attacking his vital points from the left, top and right. All this happened in a flash. However, just when the Moonlight Gale blade was about to hit Kyanai's vital points, Kyanai suddenly disappeared. With 3 flashes of sword light, he appeared again, already behind him. As expected of Konoha's special Jonin Gekkou Heiate, you have good swordsmanship and the timing of the sneak attack is just right. Facing this move with your hands, restrained by Might Guy and Asuma Sarutobi, I'm afraid it would be almost a sure kill for most people. But it's a pity. I used to wipe out more than 2,000 ninjas from Sarutobi and Shimura with just my swordsmanship. Your Konoha style swordsmanship is like a child's play in front of me. As soon as he finished speaking, there were 2 bangs, and Gekkou Heiate's 2 shadow clones dissipated at the same time, and a narrow gap was opened on his back, and blood splattered everywhere. The whole person fell straight to the ground. Heiate! Asuma Sarutobi shouted. Might Guy crossed his hands and put them on his chest, roaring, damn it, if that's the case, then I will use the 8 gates of the ninjutsu. Don't worry, I said, we have no grudges, so I won't kill him. To some extent, maybe I can save him by cutting him. But I won't give you the chance to use that dangerous physical technique. However, before Might Guy could open the 8 gates of the ninjutsu, Chiya suddenly appeared behind Might Guy like a ghost, and his Zanpakuto pierced his abdomen from the lower back. How is this possible? You were just there just now. Might Guy widened his eyes and looked at the place where Chiya stood before. His voice slowly weakened. It turned out to be an illusion. Chiya, who was standing in the same place, was quietly turning into cherry blossom petals and dissipating. Fujiwara Chiya, you bastard. When did you cast an illusion? With a roar, Sarutobi Asuma rushed over with both hands waving wind blades quickly. Kyanai pulled out Jinghua Shuaigu and swung it, shaking off the blood on the blade. He dodged Sarutobi Asuma's attack in an instant, keeping his body sideways, with most of his face covered by shadows. When did you cast the illusion? Interesting. Then I want to ask you, when did you think I didn't cast an illusion? Sarutobi Asuma didn't answer again, but made seals with his hands and spit out a ball of hot ash from his mouth, covering Kyanai. Fire style, ash burning. PS. The 3rd update. There is one more update, probably. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, Asuma being tortured. The huge exploding flame enveloped Kanai. Kanai smiled calmly and symbolically formed a seal with his left hand. A huge amount of chakra gathered in his throat and then suddenly spurted out. Water escape technique. Water dragon bullet technique. A huge water dragon, whose range was unknown to be many times larger than that of fire escape technique, ash accumulation burning, suddenly rushed out, and the moment it touched the exploding flame, it dispersed it. The water dragon continued to move forward, breaking through the sky, circling in the air for several weeks, making a huge dragon roar, and then swooped down towards Sarutobi Asuma. In front of the central tower of the Death Forest, Mitarashi Anko and Umino Iruka, under the order of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, were leading the remaining 11 ninjas who had advanced from the preliminary round, including Kabuto, Gaara, and Naruto, to leave the Death Forest from another direction. Suddenly, a dragon roar was heard in the distance, followed by a huge water dragon flying into the sky, and then suddenly falling to the ground, making a huge sound of water waves. What is that? Including Mitarashi Anko and Iruka, everyone looked at the water dragon landing at the same time. That is. Kabuto recalled the water dragon just now. A drop of cold sweat fell on his forehead, and he forced a smile on his face, thinking in his heart, it is the water-style water dragon bullet technique. There is no doubt that the only one who can perform such a powerful water style is Fujiwara Chiya. Oh no, only Chiya-sama. What a scary guy. Now the group of ninjas in Konoha are in trouble. Why mess with Chiya-sama? Even Lord Orochimaru dare not mess with him. Looking at the direction of the water dragon, Iruka and Mitarashi Anko looked at each other, and a drop of cold sweat fell on their foreheads. Naruto walked up to Iruka. Teacher Iruka, what was that just now? Iruka wiped the sweat from his forehead and said perfunctorily, it should be the Jonin sparring over there. Okay, don't worry about it, and leave the Death Forest. Jonin sparring, so impressive. Naruto's eyes lit up, and then asked, then is Kakashi teacher there too? Iruka was stunned for a moment, and then recalled the instructions of the third Hokage. He swallowed hard and answered subconsciously, he should be there. Then I want to find Kakashi teacher, to guide me in my training. Taking advantage of Iruka's stunned time, Naruto jumped directly onto the tree, and flew towards the direction where the water dragon landed. Hey, Naruto, stop right there Ed Bean, you take the others and go first, I'll go after Naruto. When Iruka reacted, Naruto had already gone far away. He shouted to Mitarashi Red Bean and hurriedly chased after him. However, as soon as Iruka finished speaking, Gaara caught up with him first. Hey, Gaara, what are you doing? Kankuro shouted. It's none of your business. Gaara left this sentence and disappeared from everyone's sight without looking back. This guy's always so arbitrary. Kankuro murmured and looked at Temari, and the two followed closely. With the first one, there will naturally be the second, the third, and the fourth. After Naruto and Gaara, Kankuro and Temari also chased after him, because they were worried about Gaara's accident. I'll go and take a look too. Then Choji followed, and Shino followed silently behind. Then I'll go and join in the fun. Next was Toss, who had become an abandoned child, and was about to replace Saku as the sacrifice for the impure world reincarnation. In the end, even Shikamaru, Ino, and Sakura followed. Only Kabuto and Mitarashi Anko were left in front of the central tower. These guys are really a group of problem children. Looking at the figures of the people going away, Mitarashi Anko rubbed her forehead helplessly, turned her eyes to Kabuto, and suddenly said, aren't you going? I'm not going. I've already reached my limit during the second round of the exam. Kabuto was on the track. He would not go to watch the game while he was full. If he was involved in the battle between the Akatsuki organization and the Konoha ninja, it would be more trouble than gain. Anko frowned. Then you can rest here first, and I will send the Enbu to escort you out later. No need for that. I'll rest for a while, and I'll go out by myself later. Kabuto said humbly. TSK hearing this, Anko sighed lightly, and ignored the other party, and used the instant body to chase in the direction of Naruto and others. Looking at the figure of Mitara Shianko going away, Kabuto murmured, "Next, it will be interesting. What do you think, Lord Orochimaru?" As Kabuto finished speaking, the ground began to wriggle, and Orochimaru slowly crawled out of it, with a sinister smile on his face, and replied, "Yes. Spiritual summoning technique, dark lightning of sorrow." Just as the water dragon was about to rush towards Asuma, the voice of Marino Ibiki, who had been hesitant to take action, suddenly rang out. A huge fortune cat with an iron chain suddenly appeared, instantly wrapped Asuma, locked the iron chain, and dragged the fortune cat and Asuma into the ground. The water dragon landed directly on the position where Asuma was standing. In a moment, a large area of the forest was flooded, the giant trees collapsed, and a large area of the death forest was covered by the tide. Even the terrain has changed. What a powerful guy. Not only illusion, lightning and wind jutsu, but also water jutsu. Kakashi, who was hiding in the dark, watched silently with his Sharingan. Because he was hiding behind Chiya, he was not affected by the water dragon bullet. At this moment, his heart was not enough to be described by the word shocked. In just a few rounds, including himself, 2 of the 5 Konoha elites used to kill Fujiwara Chiya were seriously injured and lost their combat effectiveness. Sarutobi Asuma was almost killed in the battle. This level of strength has exceeded Kakashi's current cognition. On the other side, Marino Ibiki has already placed the unconscious Might Guy and Gekko Hayate in a safe area. You used the summoning technique that can trap the enemy and used it in reverse to pull Sarutobi Asuma underground, thus avoiding my water dragon bullet. You are worthy of being the captain of Konoha's torture corps, Marino Ibiki. But now, you are the only one left. Do you think you still have a chance to keep me? Kainai looked at Marino Ibiki with a smile. Then let's try it. Summoning technique. Torture house. Marino Ibiki made seals with both hands, and suddenly several chains appeared, binding Kainai and pulling him into the torture house of another dimension filled with various torture instruments. I'm the captain of Konoha's torture corps. Do you think I did nothing when you were fighting K and the others? Let me tell you, I have been preparing this summoning technique from the beginning. Here, I'm the master. No matter how powerful you are, you will never be able to escape from here. Tell me, what is the organization you joined, and what is the purpose of sneaking into Konoha this time? Marino Ibiki stood proudly in front of Kainai. What if I don't say it? Chiya said calmly. Don't worry, I'll make you speak. Marino Ibiki snapped his fingers, and suddenly, several sharp metal wires suddenly sprang out and tied up Chiya. Marino Ibiki himself turned pale and sweat broke out on his body. This torture room, the caster uses endurance to torture the enemy, but at the same time, the caster will also suffer the same pain as the enemy. Then let's compete to see who has better endurance. Chapter 137 Naruto meets Chiya. Torture room. Sarutobi Asuma, his hands and feet were bound by chains, and his body was covered with sharp wires. The wires ate deep into his flesh, making him feel extremely painful. Even his body began to twist and deform. In front of him was the captain of the Konoha torture division, who performed this psychic ninjutsu, and suffered the same pain as Marino Ibiki. Ibiki, what are you doing? I'm Asuma. Let me go. Asuma struggled violently in a weak voice, his face full of pain and hideousness. But Ibiki seemed to be completely deaf and ignored him. Because in Marino Ibiki's eyes at this moment, he was Fujiwara Chiya. Can you be indifferent to this level of pain? You are indeed the phantom god Chiya. You are really amazing. Marino Ibiki's voice trembled, and the extreme pain almost made him faint. If he had not been in the Konoha torture division for many years, and had been tortured countless times, he would have collapsed long ago. Kainai smiled. Of course, if you have the ability, tighten it a little more, so that we can all feel comfortable together. As you wish. As he spoke, Marino Ibiki tightened the wire even more. Tighter, tighter. Kainai seemed to be fine, smiling. Asuma Sarutobi himself screamed, and finally fainted from the pain. The time for the spiritual call is about to come. Damn it. This guy is fine like this. Could it be that he has no sense of pain? Marino Ibiki's face was pale. At this moment, he had reached his limit. If it continued, I'm afraid that Kainai would die if he didn't. Marino Ibiki went forward to check, and found that except for the broken bones and damaged skin and flesh, Kainai's other body functions were almost normal. He couldn't help but feel puzzled. It stands to reason that except for him, any other person with a sense of pain should have fainted long ago after suffering such a degree of injury. But Kainai looked fine from beginning to end. It was like a puppet being controlled. Puppet? Marino Ibiki was startled. It was not until this moment that he finally realized that something was wrong. He was shocked and said, "No, this is not him." The summoning technique was automatically lifted. Marino Ibiki and Asuma Sarutobi left the other dimension and returned to reality. Finally found it? Kainai's voice suddenly sounded beside Marino Ibiki's ear. Marino Ibiki tilted his head and saw that the huge fortune cat that he had pulled underground to protect Asuma Sarutobi had drilled out from the ground. With 2 flashes of sword light, the fortune cat was instantly chopped into pieces, and Kainai's figure slowly emerged. Looking at the Kainai who was pulled into the torture space by him before, he didn't know when he had turned into Asuma Sarutobi who was tortured and looked like a human. In the dark, Kakashi saw everything. At this moment, his emotions were not enough to be described as shock. Cold sweat ran down his forehead. It was the first time he saw an illusion that could make the enemy kill each other without knowing it. Kakashi thought to himself, has this guy's attainment in illusion reached the point where even the Sharingan can't see through it? When fighting against such a person, the number of people is almost meaningless. Another illusion. When did he switch positions with Asuma? He can't even get rid of this level of pain. Damn it. With his pupils trembling slightly and feeling his consciousness gradually blurring, Marino Ibiki looked at Sarutobi Asuma, then at Chiya, and uttered these words with difficulty, and finally fell to the ground. As expected of the captain of the interrogation team of Konoha and Buu, you are cruel to the enemy and even more cruel to yourself. For the sake of interrogation, you can actually hurt yourself like this. You are also the first in the ninja world. Sheathing the sword, Chiya clapped his hands, sensed it with his observation haki, and the corners of his mouth slightly lifted up, and he slowly walked to Marino Ibiki. Just as he approached, Marino Ibiki suddenly grabbed Kainai's heel and shouted, "Kakashi, hurry up now." Without Marino Ibiki saying anything, the moment Marino Ibiki grabbed Kainai's heel, Kakashi's Reikiri was ready, and in an instant, he rushed straight to the vital part of Kainai's back. Rumble, accompanied by a burst of thunder and lightning, the tree with a diameter of more than 1 meter slowly fell down, and smoke and dust rose. Reikiri, Kakashi-senpai, it seems that you have been practicing hard since we parted in the land of waves. But unfortunately, this trick is completely useless to me. Kainai's voice suddenly sounded in the smoke. The smoke dissipated. Kainai slightly tilted his body and clamped Kakashi's right arm that released Reikiri with one hand, causing the Reikiri in his hand to fall on the tree trunk beside him. The lightning in his hand gradually subsided. Kakashi looked at Kainai in horror, with an unbelievable light flashing in his eyes. How is this possible? He attacked from behind, using the Sharingan to locate, and the ultra-fast Reikiri was blocked, and it was done with bare hands. How on earth did he do this? Damn it. Seeing that Kakashi's Reikiri sneak attack failed, Marino Ibiki, who had already been tortured to the limit in the torture room, used his last bit of strength to weakly spit out these 2 words, and powerlessly loosened the hand that clamped Kainai's heel, lying on the ground and completely fainted. Feeling very unbelievable, right? Kainai smiled, turned around and looked at Kakashi with a look of doubt in life. With a slight force of his 5 fingers, Kakashi's wrist was dislocated with a click. Ah screamed. Kakashi covered his right arm and knelt on one knee. Big beads of sweat slid down from his temples and soaked his clothes. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, a sound of a sharp blade cutting through the air suddenly sounded, and 4 sharp shurikens flew out from behind Kainai. At the same time, Naruto's voice sounded, "Damn black robe man, let me, Kakashi teacher, go." Kainai did not have any intention of dodging, but just stretched out a circle of invisible protective aura on the surface of his body, and with a clang, all the shurikens were bounced out. Naruto, run away. Ah. Seeing Naruto suddenly appear, Kakashi endured the severe pain in his wrist, and shouted with all his strength. But before he could finish his words, Kanai slightly increased his strength, and Kakashi's voice was instantly replaced by a shrill scream. "Hey Naruto, long time no see," Kanai said with his back to Naruto. "You are?" Naruto was startled by the familiar voice that sounded leisurely and pleasant. Suddenly, the 2 times he met Kanai emerged in his mind. When he was the saddest, the loneliest and the most in need of recognition from others, Kanai invited him to eat ramen and recognized him. PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 138. Facing the 3rd generation old monkey. At this time, Gaara, Kankuro, Temari, Hyuga, and other ninjas who advanced from the Chunin exam preliminaries into Konoha Jonins and Chunin, Mitarashi Anko and Umino Iruka, who followed Naruto, all came over. Looking at my guy, Gekao Hayate, Marino Ibiki, Sarutobi Asuma, who were lying unconscious on the ground, and Kakashi, who was kneeling on one knee and screaming in pain with his arm clamped by Chiya. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. No one expected that the 5 Konoha elite ninjas who were so powerful in their eyes would be beaten into such a miserable state by one person. Teacher Kakashi, Teacher Asuma, Ino and Sakura wanted to go forward, but were stopped by Mitarashi Anko. She said sternly, "Don't go over there, you will die." Then she asked Kanai with a serious expression, "Who are you, and what is your purpose in coming to Konoha? It's like a revisit to the old place. By the way, I want to see what the old guy Sarutobi Hiruzen has done to this village, which was once the largest in the ninja world." After a period of observation, it really didn't disappoint me. Other countries are busy expanding their armaments to prevent wars that may come at any time. Only this old guy thinks he can sit back and relax after the demise of the Uchiha clan. Kanai slowly turned around, let go of Kakashi's hand, and kicked him towards Anko. Moderately long black hair, a scratched Konoha ninja forehead protector, handsome features, and an extremely perfect face shape. Hong Dao caught Kakashi in a princess hug. When she saw Chiya's face, her pupils shrank immediately, and cold sweat ran down her face. "No mistake, you are the real murderer who once wiped out the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, and is known as the most vicious criminal in Konoha's history, Fujiwara Chiya." Hearing the name of Fujiwara Chiya, the ninjas behind Hong Dao were in an uproar. Sakura, whose front teeth were leaking, exclaimed in a trembling voice, "Fujiwara Chiya? Is he Fujiwara Chiya?" Shino, who was standing next to her, had a drop of cold sweat on his forehead. He took out the Rebel Ninja manual, flipped through it, and said in a deep voice, "No mistake, it's exactly the same as in the Rebel Ninja manual. Hey, Gaara, something is wrong. This is an extremely dangerous person. Let's leave quickly and leave this to those Konoha ninjas." Kankuro's face was also extremely ugly, and he urged Gaara in a hurry. But Gaara didn't intend to pay attention to Kankuro. He just glared at him coldly, formed a seal with his right hand, and instantly came to Kanai's side 30 steps away. He said in a cold voice, "You are the bandaged man." Of course. Kanai finished speaking, and he had already come to Gaara's side. With a knife, Gaara collapsed to the ground. How is it possible? He subdued Gaara with just one move. Kankuro lost his voice in shock, and he and Temari were so scared that their legs trembled, and they stood there and dared not move. "Brother Kanai, why did you do this?" Naruto's voice rang out again in the field, with tears in his eyes. He wanted to step forward to question Kanai, but Kakashi held his shoulders and said in a deep voice, "Naruto, don't go over there. He is no longer the Fujiwara Kanai you knew." "The Fujiwara Kanai you no longer know?" Kanai smiled and spread his hands. "Kakashi, you are too naive. After all, not everyone is like you. For the sake of your dead best friend, even the hatred of your father's murder can be ignored. If Naruto knew his life experience, let Sasuke know the truth about the genocide of the Uchiha clan, and let the ugly face of the old guy Sarutobi Hiruzen be revealed to everyone. Maybe they will do more excessive than me in the future. But now it seems that Naruto is impossible. You, Iruka, Sasuke, and the girl named Yingbi have already lived in his heart and have a place to rely on, so Naruto will never turn evil. This is something that Sarutobi Hiruzen and even the entire Konoha should be thankful for." Hearing Kanai calling her Yingbiro, Zioing didn't know where she got the courage from and yelled at Kanai, "Asshole, my name is Zioing, not Yingbiro." Kanai slapped her away with a slap in the air and sneered. Is there any difference? Yingbyo, I have observed you during this period of time. You usually ignore Naruto and even despise him for not having parents and lacking family education, but you are very attentive to the second pillar, Sasuke. You only think of Naruto when you are in danger. Take the encounter with Orochimaru in the Death Forest for example. The second pillar was scared by Orochimaru at the time, so that his legs were shaking. In order to protect you and the second pillar, Naruto fought Orochimaru desperately and almost lost his life. But you are so good. Afterwards, you just hugged Sasuke and wiped your tears. It would have been fine if you didn't care about the unconscious Naruto, but you kept wanting to call him to help you. You are such a bitch. Is there anything wrong with me calling you Yingbyo? Hearing this, Zioing's eyes dimmed instantly. She covered her swollen face that was slapped by Kanai and dared not look at Kanai again. Forget it. Everyone has bad luck with people. I don't care. Kanai ignored Zioing, looked around, and said calmly, okay, let's stop talking. I wanted to continue the topic just now, but now it seems that I'm afraid it won't work. The old guy Sarutobi Hiruzen is coming. Kanai's voice fell, and dozens of black shadows rushed out of the dense forest and surrounded Kanai. Sarutobi Hiruzen, wearing combat uniform, appeared on the giant tree that was cut off by Kakashi's lightning with the Vajra-Ruai stick transformed by the Sarutobi demon in his hand, looking down at everyone from a high place. Hokage-sama. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly appear, the ninjas of Konoha seemed to have found their backbone, and their eyes lit up instantly. After all, this is the third generation Hokage in their Konoha village, who is known as the strongest of all generations. Everyone, take the wounded and leave here first. The next thing will be left to me and the Anbu. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand and shouted to everyone. Do you think you can take anyone away from here today without my permission? Kanai smiled, and the 5 fingers of his right hand flew out of flames and then slammed on the ground. A huge fiery red barrier instantly enveloped a large area of the Death Forest. This is the Uchiha family's fire formation. Damn it. Fujiwara Chiya, are you really going to do this extermination today? Seeing this huge barrier, Sarutobi Hiruzen was shocked, and his face suddenly turned cold. Although it was a little early, those present were the backbone of Konoha and the future of Konoha. If he died with Kanai to protect them, he would still be a hero of Konoha. Dying to protect Konoha, a glorious death, he would also be worshipped by future generations like the previous Hokage. Compared to the matter of extermination, you have done much more than me. Kanye smiled gently. Time is limited, so I will just pick a few to talk about. There happened to be many families of victims at the scene. PS. Second update, and there will be a third and fourth update depending on the situation. Chapter 139, exposing the old monkey's shortcomings in person. Compared to the extermination, you have done much more than me. Kanai smiled lightly. Time is limited, I will pick a few. It just so happens that there are many victims' families at the scene. The first victim's family is Kakashi. At the beginning, because the prestige of Konoha White Fang, that is, Kakashi's father, was too high, it threatened your position as Hokage, so you let Danzo go and used rumors to force him to death. Well, I have already told Kakashi this, but he seems unwilling to believe it, or for the sake of Konoha, he is unwilling to take revenge on you. You can be called the backbone of Konoha's generation. The second victim's family is Hyuga Niji. Me. Niji was stunned, and he didn't understand why this ridiculously strong guy called him. Kanai nodded. Yes, it's you. I guess you are still hating the main family because of the death of your father, Hyuga Hisashi. Boy, in fact, you have always hated the wrong person. It was not Hyuga Hayashi who killed your father, but someone else. Shut up. Every word of Kanai was like a steel needle, deeply hurting Sarutobi Hiruzen's sensory nerves. What he cares about most is his reputation. If Kanai continues to expose his scandals, then no matter whether the people present believe it today or not, his image in the hearts of the people of Konoha will no longer be perfect. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted, threw a shuriken, and formed seals with his hands, turning into countless shurikens to cover Kanai. but Kainai seemed to have no entity, and those shurikens went straight through his body. Yoho, are you angry? But you still, don't waste your energy. Except for the legendary Mangekyou Sharingan, no one can touch me. Even you, the shameless third Hokage who has given yourself the title of the strongest Hokage of all generations, can't do it. Kainai was on the track. In fact, let alone the Mangekyou Sharingan, even if the Samsurai came, it would not be able to see through his mirror flower and water moon. Because this mirror flower and water moon, unlike ordinary illusions, acts on chakra, but directly on the soul. Hatake Kakashi explained, Hokage-sama, this is Fujiwara Chiya's illusion, which can create an illusion that even the Sharingan cannot distinguish. His true body should be hiding somewhere in the barrier now. Go find him for me. Sarutobi Hiruzen said sternly. As soon as the words fell, the many Enbu who had surrounded Chiya scattered instantly and began a carpet search. Okay, I don't have much time. Let's continue with the topic just now. Kainai ignored Sarutobi Hiruzen and continued. Uncle. Hyuga Niji. Let me tell you the truth of the matter. Sarutobi Hiruzen personally promoted the peace treaty between the Kyuubi and Konoha. On the day of signing the peace treaty, the Kyuubi village coveted the Byakugan bloodline limit and intended to abduct the head lady of the Hyuga family. But the person sent was killed on the spot by the patriarch of the Hyuga family. The Kyuubi ninja bit back, saying that Konoha killed the Kyuubi envoy. Threatening to go to war, Konoha was forced to hand over the murderer. In fact, the Kyuubi ninja was just scaring Konoha at the time because they had just experienced the Third Ninja World War and the situation in their village was worse than Konoha and the villages had not recovered. If a war breaks out, Kyuubi will inevitably be coveted by the Iwagakure village, which has a feud with them. Although the fourth Raikage is a warrior, he will not joke about the safety of Kyuubi. He was just testing Konoha. As a result, our strongest Hokage in history is so weak against the outside world. He foolishly agreed to hand the man over. Although your father was unanimously determined by the elders of the main family to die for Hyuga Hayashi, in fact, your father was not willing to die to protect the main family, but to protect his brother Hyuga Hayashi. If you have to talk about enemies, then your biggest enemy is only one. Sarutobi Hiruzen, it was this old and weak man who killed your father. Hokage, is this true? Niji looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen with complicated eyes. Ninji, don't listen to this traitor's nonsense. The situation was very complicated at that time. Your father took the initiative to sacrifice himself for the peace of Konoha. He is a hero of the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen fully exerted his unique brainwashing charm and lied with his eyes open. Kainai continued to taunt wildly. Hey, what a hero of Konoha. It seems that none of the heroes you mentioned have a good ending. You keep saying, where the leaves of Konoha dance, the fire will also be endless. The flames will illuminate the village and let new trees sprout. But in fact, what have you done all these years? You have been constantly squeezing the nutrients of the big tree of Konoha to strengthen your Sarutobi family. Other families have suffered heavy losses after experiencing the three ninja world wars, and some have even gradually disappeared in the long river of history during the ninja world wars. As a result, your Sarutobi family has become even stronger. Guess how many ninjas were there in the Sarutobi family when I wiped out the Sarutobi family? More than 2,000. Wow, more than 2,000 ninjas, which has surpassed the total number of the Uchiha family and the Senju family at their peak. And all of them have never been seen in the mission. It seems that you are burning the entire Konoha to illuminate your Sarutobi family. If you say this is Konoha's hidden power, Konoha's last line of defense, then it's barely justifiable. But even during the Ninetales Rebellion, Konoha was almost annihilated, and they didn't show up. In the end, it was the fourth Hokage who sacrificed himself to survive the crisis. Do you know what these people have been doing? Aren't they just hiding like the roots under the old dog Danzo? Arsehole. Shut up. Sarutobi Hiruzen was so angry that his lungs were about to explode, his eyes were bloodshot, and he almost screamed. The thick and long Vajra Ruai stick suddenly stretched out and stabbed in the direction of Kainai, but it was undoubtedly empty. Haha, stab a few more times. I like the way you want to kill me, but can't do anything to me. Kainai laughed and said, damn it. Sarutobi Hiruzen was so angry that his body trembled and his face twitched with anger. Kainai ignored Sarutobi Hiruzen and turned his eyes to Naruto. Naruto, didn't you just ask me why I defected from Konoha? Then I'll tell you one of the reasons. Probably because I wanted to rid Konoha of the Sarutobi clan, the termite that sucked Konoha's nutrients, before leaving. Otherwise, if this old guy Sarutobi Hiruzen continues to mess around for a few more years, I'm afraid Konoha village will be changed to Sarutobi village. Hearing this, Naruto half lowered his head, his eyes were instantly covered by shadows, and mist appeared in his eyes. He was not crying for himself, but for Kainai. Next, Naruto will start to use his mouth to trick Kainai. PS. This is the third update. Please recommend and vote for me, and the fourth update is still being written. Chapter 140 Naruto's mouth to mouth. Kainai becomes a father again. Is that so? Hearing Kainai's words, Naruto seemed to understand something. He took a deep breath, raised his tender little face, and faced Kainai. Seeing this, Kainai knew that Naruto's mouth to mouth was about to begin. He used the mirror flower and water moon to hide in the dark and put the index and middle fingers of his right hand together, shooting out a chakra and hitting Gaara. Gaara suddenly coughed violently and slowly woke up. What came into view was Kanjuro's face full of patterns. "Gaara, how are you?" Kanjuro asked worriedly. Temari also asked with concern. "Gaara, are you okay?" "I'm fine, thank you." In his life, after his uncle Yashamaru, Gaara once again felt the feeling of being cared for. For a moment, he was a little overwhelmed. Facing Gaara's first thank you, Kankuro and Temari were also a little overwhelmed. They were stunned for a moment and responded, "No, nothing." The feeling of concern disappeared, and Gaara's face returned to its usual coldness. He tilted his head to look at Chiya, and a hint of fear could not help but appear in the depths of his pupils. Just now, the Shukaku in his body reminded him not to provoke this man named Fujiwara Chiya. Otherwise, not only would he die, but it would also die because of Gaara's death. But soon, the fear in his eyes was replaced by shock because Naruto's mouth-to-mouth trick began. Naruto said to Kainai, "Brother Kainai, although I don't quite understand what you just said, whether it's the father of Neji and Kakashi teachers or the selfishness of Grandpa Hokage, these are not reasons for you to defect from the village. Actually, you should love this village very much, otherwise you wouldn't let Kakashi teacher and others go. Although I don't understand the war that you adults are talking about, I know that once a war breaks out, many people will definitely die. If Kakashi teacher and others die, the village will lose the protection of powerful ninjas, and I'm afraid the war that Grandpa Hokage talked about will really be very likely to come." At this point, Naruto grabbed his abdomen with his right palm. "As for me, I have often been looked at with indifference by the people in the village. Since I was very young, everyone treats me as a monster. The feeling of being alone is not ordinary painful. Sometimes it even makes me doubt whether my existence is wrong. Until one day, I met Brother Kainai. Because I have no parents, no brothers, no relatives, and no friends. Others are at home having reunion dinner with their families, but I'm walking aimlessly on the cold streets alone. It was you, Brother Kainai, who suddenly appeared and saved me from hell. I heard it from Uncle Ichiraku. Brother Kainai, your parents were probably killed by the monster in my body. But you didn't look at me strangely. You even invited me to eat ramen. You also recognized me. From that time on, I didn't feel sad, because I was no longer alone. Later, I met Teacher Iruka and Teacher Kakashi, and Sasuke. I don't understand real parents, brothers, and relatives. But when I think of the time I was with Teacher Iruka and Teacher Kakashi, I can understand that this is what relatives feel like. When I was with Sasuke, this is what brothers feel like. And you, Brother Kainai, although you are not much older than me, I think that's how father feels. Because for me, this is a bond that I have finally gained, so please stop. Brother Kainai." At the end, Naruto was already in tears. The scene suddenly became quiet. Almost everyone stared at Naruto in amazement, with a horrified light flashing in their eyes, all shocked by Naruto's words. But Kainai's old face turned red, and he murmured, "Father?" At this moment, he finally realized the power of Naruto's mouth persuasion. If it were any other native, I'm afraid he would be persuaded on the spot. But unfortunately, Naruto's mouth persuasion target was Kainai, a time traveler. His father only reminded Kainai of Naruto's mother, Kushina. At the same time, after listening to Naruto's words, Gaara's mind seemed to explode. He recalled his past, his uncle Yoshimaru, his brother Kankuro, his sister Temari, and the father who wanted to kill him countless times. His head began to ache with a heart-wrenching pain, and he couldn't hold it back, so he screamed, Gaara, what's wrong with you? Kankuro shouted anxiously. Gaara, Temari also showed a worried look. Kainai looked at Gaara with interest, and thought to himself, it seems that this love-starved boy has almost been persuaded by Naruto. After a while, Gaara came to his senses, and looked at Kankuro and Temari who were supporting him. His eyes were no longer so cold, but much softer. He covered his chest and murmured, is this a bond? Suddenly, Kainai's applause rang out in the field, and everyone's attention was attracted to Kainai again. Naruto, you're a good talker. To be honest, I'm almost moved by you. I wanted to tell you about your life and the ugly face of old man Sarutobi Hiruzen, but now it seems unnecessary. Kainai's smile suddenly faded, and he stretched out 5 fingers. 5 seconds. What? Everyone was puzzled. It only takes 5 seconds, and I can kill everyone here, including Sarutobi Hiruzen. Kainai pulled out Kagami Sujetsu. As soon as these words came out, the scene suddenly became quiet. Kankuro, who was supporting Gaara with Temari, shouted, hey, wait, we are not from Konoha. With the strength shown by Kainai and this terrifying barrier, Kankuro had no doubt that Kainai could do it. 5, 4 Kainai ignored Kankuro and began to count down, because at this moment, he had sensed that Yuhi Kurenoi was coming. Anyway, he didn't plan to kill anyone today. As for the hero who saves everyone, it would be more appropriate for his woman to be the hero. Everyone, be prepared. Fujiwara Chiya may appear around you at any time. Seeing Chiya's murderous look, even Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was calm, was frightened and broke out in a cold sweat, cursing in a low voice, damn it. The killing was imminent, and even the air seemed to freeze. Just as Chiya was about to count to 1, Yuhi Kurenoi arrived with the medical ninjas in time. She stood outside the barrier and shouted, enough Chiya. You're lucky. Chiya blinked her right eye at Yuhi Kurenoi, pretended to sigh, put away the barrier, and disappeared into the forest of death. PS. 4th update. Please recommend and vote for me. Thanks to Staying Up Late Bobby for the 14,040 starting coins. Thanks to Emma Hanksing for the 12,802 starting coins. Thanks to Diving Fireworks ZZZZZZZZZZ for the 1500 starting coins. Thanks to God's Thunderstorm, Ghost Garden Massacre, Sekura Yikl, Chuni Sakura House, Z Crazy Walavem for the 500 starting coins. Thanks to Draw the Sheath at a Disagreement, Immortal Slash for the 300 starting coins. Thanks to Dios's Big Fish, Empty Fate 10 Cultivators, Literati Han, 97-year-old little bookworm, for the 100 starting coins. Chapter 141 The Concern of a Filial Son. This guy. Looking at the place where Kainai disappeared, Zahihan was speechless. Although she knew that Kainai would not kill the people of Konoha, she did not expect that he would make such a big noise. After the barrier completely disappeared, he hurriedly took a group of medical ninjas in. When Kainai left, everyone, including Sarutobi Hiruzen, breathed a sigh of relief. And those genin, as if all their strength was drained, were scared and fell to the ground, gasping for breath. Only Naruto stood there, his eyes full of loneliness and sadness. At this moment, he had never hated his weakness so much. He was thinking, if he became strong enough, would brother Kainai not leave? Kakashi covered his injured right arm and looked at Naruto with a sigh and sadness in his heart. I'm afraid what happened today was a big blow to Naruto. He has to be saved. Kankuro took a breath and said in a trembling voice, we can't stay here for long. Let's leave first. Temari nodded, and the two of them helped Gaara leave. At this moment, Kurenoi came with many medical ninjas. Hokage-sama. Kurenoi walked in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen and bowed. Kuren, thanks to you this time. You protected us all. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Kyuubi with an inexplicably complicated look. Who would have thought that today, he, the strongest Hokage of all generations, not only lost face in front of all the ninjas of Konoha, but now he actually needs to rely on a woman to save his life. Hokage-sama, you are too kind. It's all my fault that I didn't teach Chiya the right way, which led to the current situation. Kyuubi took the initiative to take the responsibility on herself. Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that it was time for him to show his magnanimity as the strongest Hokage of all time and sighed. This has nothing to do with you. It's my dereliction of duty as the Hokage. Well, go and treat the wounded as soon as possible. Yes, Hokage. Kyuubi responded respectfully and took the medical ninjas to put my guy, Gale and other seriously injured people on stretchers. I just checked. K and Hay-8 didn't suffer any fatal injuries, so their lives are saved. Kyuubi walked up to Kakashi. How do you feel? Kakashi sighed lightly. Well, I'm fine, but it seems my right wrist is dislocated. The bones are probably cracked too. But having said that, your disciple is really amazing. Whether it's illusion, ninjutsu, or even physical skills, almost all of them are ridiculously strong. I have never seen such a powerful guy. Fortunately, you showed up in time. At this point, he squinted his eyes and glanced around, and said solemnly, otherwise, I'm afraid the situation will really develop in an unpredictable direction. Kyuubi nodded slightly, reconnected Kakashi's hand bones, and bandaged it simply. I have already connected your hand. You can go to the hospital to rest for a while. I think it should be fine. After that, she turned and left. Sakura Hiruno, who was standing by, watched Kyuubi go away. She glanced at Naruto with complicated eyes and asked in confusion, Teacher Kakashi, why did Fujiwara Chiya leave when she saw Teacher Kyuubi? Is Teacher Kyuubi more powerful than him? Is he scared? Hearing this, everyone else around him leaned over to listen. No, it's not. Kakashi shook his head and sighed. It's just because Fujiwara Chiya was once her disciple. On the other side, Chiya walked out of the Konoha gate in a dignified manner and came to the meeting place with Data Kako and Yikang. Kisame, who had been waiting outside the Konoha village for a long time, was also waiting there. Master Chiya, are you okay? Yikang came up to him as soon as he arrived. It's okay. I played with those Konoha ninjas for a while. Chiya shook his head. Kisame walked over with a flattering smile on his face, as expected of Mr. Kainai. Facing the siege of the ninja world's #1 village Konoha, you can come and go so freely. It was only the #1 village in the ninja world. Now, it has been played by those two old guys Sarutobi Hiruzen and Anzo, and its talents have withered. To be honest, there are really few ninjas who can be shown off now. Kainai shrugged slightly. What about the group of Konoha ninjas? Uchiha Itachi hesitated for a while and asked. What a surprise. Kainai looked at Uchiha Itachi and pretended surprise, and a playful smile suddenly appeared on his face. You, who are ruthless, and can kill even your parents, actually care about the ninjas from the same village. But don't worry, I have no grudge against those people, so I didn't kill them. I was worried that might guy would use that dangerous physical technique, so I cut his waist with a knife, and made him lose consciousness. The Through-Jutsu ninja Gekao Gale wanted to attack secretly, but I cut him on the back. Kakashi hid behind me, and used the Sharingan to observe my ability. He used Drakiri to try to dig out my heart from the back, but I broke his wrist. As for the disabled son of Sarutobi Hiruzen, to be honest, he is really weak. I even doubt whether his title of Elite Jonin was forcibly given to him by his father, the Hokage. I just performed a brief illusion, and knocked him down. Then I transformed him into my appearance, and placed him in front of Marino Ibiki. Should I say that he is worthy of being the captain of Konoha's interrogation corps? He even summoned a strange torture chamber just to torture me. Sarutobi Asuma was tortured in there for a long time. Wow, it was really miserable. Hearing this, Data Kako breathed a sigh of relief and explained, that is Marino Ibiki's summoning technique, the torture chamber. It can summon several chains to bind the enemy and pull the enemy into a torture chamber in another dimension. The torture chamber is filled with various torture instruments. The caster uses his ninjutsu to torture the enemy, but at the same time the caster will suffer the same pain as the enemy. Kainai pretended to be aware. No wonder the old guy fainted after the summoning technique was lifted. Mr. Kainai, I have already placed the body of the rain ninja. I believe it won't be long before the Konoha ninjas will find it. There is no need to worry about exposing the base of our organization. But what should we do next? Kisame asked hesitantly. Kainai said, the Konoha collapse plan will be carried out on the day of the Chunin exams. What you and Aiziozi have to do next is to find a hot spring town. Kisame was puzzled. Mr. Kainai, can you tell me why you are looking for a hot spring town? Of course I'm waiting. There is still a month before the Chunin exams. Do you want to sit here and do nothing? Kainai rolled his eyes at him. PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 142. Karen's whereabouts. After parting with Kisame and Takako, Kainai and Yikang disguised themselves and returned to Konoha again, finding a hot spring hotel to settle down. And at the moment they settled down, Kainai suddenly had a lot of information in his mind. This was passed to him by the shadow clone he sent to rescue Karen. After the shadow clone rescued Karen from the big brown bear before the two pillars, he wanted to make her his female disciple on the grounds of valuing her talent. Faced with the opportunity to get rid of the grass ninja, Karen would naturally not refuse, especially after seeing Kainai's appearance as a beauty cult. She wanted to stick directly to Kainai. At the same time, she also raised her concerns and wanted to ask Kainai to help rescue his mother. Kainai naturally agreed, but he also knew that at this time, Karen's mother was estimated to have been sucked dry by the people of the grass village. But perhaps it was because Kainai took Karen back to the grass village earlier than the original. Although Karen's mother was dying, she still had a breath left. After Karen's repeated requests, Kainai gave her a senzu bean. Not only did it replenish the chakra that was sucked out of Karen's mother, it also healed her injuries, and the tooth marks on her body disappeared, making her a perfect and beautiful wife. The shadow clone naturally didn't have too many thoughts about this. After leading the two of them all the way out of the Kusagakure village, it took a few days to come to Tansho Street, the house that Kainai bought for Tsunade before leaving. Kainai. Back at the house, little Kyangsha, who was teasing Tantan in the yard, flew over, but Kainai's shadow clone pressed against her forehead, preventing Kyangsha from approaching. Kyangsha was stunned, and then she saw Karen and her mother behind the shadow clone, and mist instantly appeared in her eyes. The shadow clone explained helplessly, Chinatsu, I'm just your father's shadow clone. The original should have said that girls should respect themselves and are not allowed to have physical contact with any man except their father and brothers. These two are the Uzumaki clan members your father rescued. Woo woo. Mom, dad brought a bad woman back and had a daughter. However, before the shadow clone finished speaking, Chinatsu burst into tears and turned and ran into the house. Did she misunderstand something? The corner of the shadow clone's mouth twitched. At this time, Shizune, who was buying vegetables outside, came back. Master Kainai, who are these two? Oh, this is Uzumaki Karen and her mother. They are all survivors of the Uzumaki clan. They are distant relatives of Tsunade. I rescued them from the Kusagakure village. As he spoke, the shadow clone explained the details of what happened. After listening to this, Shizune clenched her fist in indignation. Those bastards from the Kusagakure village. The shadow clone nodded. So the original body wanted to place the mother and daughter with you, and when you return to Konoha after a while, you can just bring them back to Konoha. By the way, it can be regarded as adding a disciple to Tsunade. With Karen's physique from the Uzumaki clan, it is most suitable for her to be Tsunade's disciple. Original body? Shizune was stunned. However, before long, her heart, which had been at peace, was once again in her throat. Because Tsunade came out. Kanye, you bastard, who allowed you to bring strange women home, and you even dared to make my baby daughter cry. With a roar, Tsunade broke through the roof, fell from the sky, and landed straight in the yard with a painful kick. In this way, in order to protect this valuable courtyard and prevent Tsunade, the tiger woman, from squandering the family, the shadow clone resisted this move. Because the force was too great, it dissipated. After receiving the memory, Kanye couldn't help but sweat. I have to say that this tiger woman is really fierce. I just let the shadow clone take two ordinary women back. Tsunade got mad. If this tiger woman knew that in addition to her, there were Mrs. Makoto, Uchiha Izumi, Yuhi Kunoe, and a Mizukichi who wanted to eat her flesh alive, and that Mrs. Makoto also gave birth to a daughter who was more than half a month younger than Shinatsu, she would be furious. Master Kainai, the mixed bath is ready. Just then, Yi Kang's voice sounded outside the house. Oh, I'm here. Kainai responded and put on a bathrobe and walked out. At the same time, in a huge building on a high ground somewhere in Konoha village, Toss knelt in front of Orochimaru and told him what he saw and heard during the conflict between Kainai and Konoha. After listening to Toss's words, Orochimaru stretched out his thick and long snake head and licked his lips, and a sinister smile suddenly appeared on his face. It seems that Kainai knows a lot about the old man's little things. No wonder he is so targeted at him. But what's more interesting is that you actually saved your life because of Yuhi Kunoe. It seems that Kainai didn't give up everything as imagined. I thought that including the old man, all of you would die there today. Hearing this, Toss couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. He hurriedly lowered his head, not daring to look at Orochimaru again, and responded, "Yes, Master Orochimaru. You've worked so hard, you go down first," Orochimaru said. Toss nodded slightly, stood up with his cane, turned around and was about to leave as he was told. However, before he could perform the instant body movement technique to leave, Orochimaru, who was standing behind him, smiled more and more strangely, grinned, and formed a seal with his right hand. Toss was startled, and his cane fell to the ground with a bang, and his whole body was immobilized by Orochimaru's immobilization technique. "Lord Orochimaru, what are you doing?" Toss shouted anxiously with cold sweat on his forehead. Orochimaru sneered, "You are useless. Since Sak is dead, you will take his place and become a sacrifice for the impure world reincarnation like Jin. PS. Second update. Please vote for recommendation and monthly vote. The third update is still being written. Try your best to update the fourth update. Let's see. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 Orochimaru talks about Chiya. Summoning technique, impure world reincarnation technique. As Orochimaru quickly formed seals with his hands and finally began to put his palms together, a strange spell began to appear on the ground, wrapping up Toss. Countless dust particles gathered towards Toss at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wait, Lord Orochimaru. Toss was fixed in place, so scared that he couldn't speak clearly. As the dust particles went over his head, Toss screamed, completely lost his breath of life, and turned into the corpse of the first generation Hokage. At this moment, Orochimaru's right-hand man Kabuto rushed over, looked at the first Hokage who was summoned in front of him, and said with a smile, "Is this the legendary first Hokage, the god of ninjas? It seems that Toss has been sacrificed by you." Orochimaru ignored Kabuto, but glanced at him indifferently. While making a seal, he put the first Hokage of the impure world Hokage into the coffin, and said indifferently, "How about the news I asked you to investigate?" Kabuto answered respectfully, "As you expected, the other two members of the Akatsuki organization have left Konoha, and Fujiwara Chiya, after defeating Kakashi, Might Guy and other Konoha Jonins, also left Konoha in a swagger. Now they have all left Konoha village, and they also left the bodies of 3 Rain Village ninjas outside Konoha village. I guess they don't want the people of Konoha to know that the Akatsuki organization is related to the Rain Village, but their specific whereabouts are unknown. After all, running to track down the members of the Akatsuki organization who are or less level rebel ninjas is simply an act of seeking death. But after this battle between Fujiwara Chiya and Konoha, I saw something clearly." Hearing this, Orochimaru said oh, and was obviously interested. "Tell me about it." Kabuto adjusted his glasses lightly. "That is, Konoha is really weak. It's hard to imagine that this village, which was once the largest in the ninja world, has become so dilapidated as Fujiwara Chiya said. It has reached the point where outsiders can come and go at will. Facing Fujiwara Chiya, who once wiped out the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, and was the most vicious criminal in Konoha's history after Uchiha Madara. No one dared to stop him, let alone chase him down. Even the strongest Hokage in history was able to save his life thanks to Chiya's former teacher Kyuubi. It seems that this village has become numb and corrupt, immersed in the peace built by Sarutobi Hiruzen's endless sacrifices. When a ninja village loses its faith, its blood, and the people's hearts, facing a powerful and arrogant enemy, it only knows how to condemn and tolerate, and fights back with much ado about nothing. Then this village is not far from decline. Even the largest village in the ninja world, once founded by the god of ninja and the Shura of the ninja world, is no more than this. Hearing this, Orochimaru laughed. Haha, I just can't stand things that don't move, so I have to launch the Konoha collapse plan. Let the stationary windmill of Konoha turn again. But Kabuto, you really don't know Chiya. Maybe his 2 companions have left, but he is definitely still in this village. Kabuto was stunned. No way. If he really wants to stay in Konoha, why not just lurk like you? Why bother to run out of Konoha village, and then come back? Fujiwara Chiya doesn't seem like the kind of person who likes trouble. Orochimaru chuckled. Haha, this is his brilliance. I discovered it a long time ago. He is a person who likes to do things as he pleases. In his heart, there is no so-called village, no so-called ninja system, and he does not have the ambition to rule the world like Pain of the Akatsuki organization. Whether the ninja world is peaceful or not is irrelevant to him. He is just a person who wants to gather all the excitement in the world. The reason why he deliberately did this is nothing more than to hide the darkness under the lamp, and want everyone to know that he left Konoha, so that everyone can follow our plan. Or in other words, everyone will act according to his script. He can join in the fun. And the reason why he let me go again and again is that he thinks that people like me living in the world will bring a lot of fun to his future life. The same reason why he let go of the 3rd generation old man who made him disgusted so much today. This is a person who looks at the things around him with a detached eye. From the leader of the Akatsuki organization to a small character like Toss, in his eyes there is no distinction between high and low. Even the entire ninja world is just a part of the fun in his life. Kabuto suddenly realized, no wonder, when everyone regarded Uzumaki Naruto as a demon fox, he was able to treat the murderer who killed his parents with an equal eye. Then he asked, then should we continue with our plan? Of course. At this point, Orochimaru suddenly laughed strangely. But Kabuto, you seem to have become different from before. Is it because of the influence of Kyuubi? Kabuto was stunned, and before he could reply, Orochimaru continued, don't rush to deny it. In fact, this is nothing big. Kyuubi is such a person. And because of Danzo's persecution, you accidentally killed your adoptive mother, Yakushi Nono. You became unable to recognize yourself and lost yourself. Kyuubi keenly discovered this point and just gave you the sense of identity you needed. Hearing this, Kabuto fell silent and did not speak again. He just took off the glasses that the dean had given him, fell into deep thought, and murmured in his heart, have I lost myself? At the same time, in Konoha Hospital, in a critical care ward somewhere, the voices of my guy and Rock Lee came from inside. I'm sorry, Lee. I'm sorry to disappoint you this time. No, Teacher K, you are the strongest. Lee, Teacher K, this is youth. While the two were talking, they hugged each other and burst into tears. Kakashi, who was in the same ward with my guy, was speechless. The nurse on the side couldn't stand it anymore and reminded them, two patients, this is a hospital. Please don't make loud noises, otherwise it will affect other patients. Hi, my guy responded and once again looked at his most cherished disciple affectionately with tears in his eyes and said, Lee, did you hear? The nurse just said that we can't do this anymore, otherwise it will disturb others. Yes, Teacher K. Lee also wiped away his tears. But after a while, the master and disciple hugged each other and cried again. But the sound was not as loud as before. Seeing this scene, the nurse's face drew a black line, and she asked Kakashi helplessly, Senior Kakashi, have these two people always been like this? Well, I guess so, but don't mind it anyway. Kakashi responded with an embarrassed smile. Hey Kakashi, is that guy Fujiwara Chiya back? At this moment, a hurried footsteps came from outside the medical room, and Nobushiko pushed open the door in a hospital gown and walked in barefoot. PS. The third update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 144 as Yuzi wants to become a disciple. Hey Kakashi, is that Fujiwara Chiya back? There was a hurried sound of footsteps outside the medical room, and Nobushi pushed open the door in his hospital gown and walked in barefoot. Naruto and Sakura followed closely behind him, panting. Kakashi looked at Sasuke, then at Sakura who was worried and followed behind him, and Naruto who had regained his usual carefree personality, and looked at Sasuke with an unhappy face, and narrowed his eyes slightly. It seems that you already know, Sasuke, the nurse said, that your injuries are not healed yet, and you can't move now. Sakura was worried and wanted to go forward to support Sasuke, but Nobushi pushed her away. Go away, don't bother me. Sasuke, Sakura's eyes were filled with tears. Shut up, I'm an Avenger. It's none of your business what you do. I don't need to play house with you, and what that Fujiwara Chiya said is right. You're just a slut. As for me, I've been annoyed with you since you said Naruto has no parents and no family education. What else can you do besides crying and holding back? If you have time to think about love and affection, you might as well learn some magic to improve your strength so that you can prepare for the official Chunin exam. Nejiru glared at Sakura with cold eyes, and his words were full of undisguised sarcasm and impatience. Sasuke, woo-woo. Hearing this, Sakura couldn't help but cover her mouth and cried, and ran away choking. Hey Sasuke, how could you do this? Seeing Sakura leave crying, Naruto's dog-licking problem broke out again. However, before Naruto could finish his words, Sasuke interrupted again. He stared at Naruto with a sneer and said, Naruto, the same goes for you. I'm looking forward to having a real fight with you. Who's afraid of who? Naruto met the gaze of the second pillar without fear. The two looked at each other, and there seemed to be a spark between them. Finally, they snorted at the same time and turned their heads away in a very arrogant manner. What a group of problem children. Kakashi saw all this and made a helpless complaint. The nurse on the side nodded in agreement. I think so too. The flames of fighting spirit ignited in the eyes of Might Guy and Rock Lee, the master and apprentice. This is youth. Fujiwara Chiya. Did that guy really beat you, Might Guy, Asuma and others? Sasuke ignored Naruto and looked at Kakashi with a serious expression. At this moment, his heart was no longer enough to be described as shocked. He still knew the strength of Kakashi, Might Guy and others. Apart from anything else, it would be too easy to kill him instantly. He originally thought that Kunai was only slightly stronger than Kakashi, but he did not expect that he could actually fight against all the senior ninjas in Konoha. In fact, if it were not for Yuhi Kuno's timely arrival, I'm afraid that all the people trapped in the barrier, including the third Hokage, would not have survived. If he could get his teachings, would he be able to defeat his brother one day? Kakashi nodded slowly and said frankly, yes, that guy is simply a monster. We lost miserably. That's probably it. Might Guy said on the side. Uchiha boy, Kakashi is right. The boy from the Fujiwara family is indeed very strong. But next time, I will not lose again. This is youth. It hurts. My kidney is dripping. Mr. Might Guy, you are really enough. I told you not to get too excited, otherwise the wound will split. The nurse walked to Might Guy's bed helplessly to treat his wound. Sasuke ignored Might Guy and continued to ask Kakashi, where is that guy now? Give up, Sasuke. Kakashi sighed. I know what you are thinking, and I know you are eager to become stronger. But that guy has left Konoha. Even if he hadn't left, he would never teach you to become stronger. He is no longer a ninja of Konoha. You should know this. Damn it. Sasuke gritted his teeth, extremely unwilling, and punched the wall. Once again, he missed the opportunity to become stronger. If he had recognized that the bandaged man was Kunai earlier, it would have been better. Although the guy who likes to call himself Nizuzi is hateful, his strength is absolutely unquestionable. He may even be stronger than Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas. Damn it, Nizuzi shouted in his heart. Kakashi continued, okay, stop thinking about it. If you really want to become stronger, take good care of your body these days. There is still a month before the official Chunin exam. From now on, I will do my best to train you. Teacher Kakashi, you are going to teach Sasuke. What should I do? I also want to become stronger. Upon hearing that Kakashi was going to teach Sasuke, Naruto, who had been depressed because of the mention of Chiya, suddenly became anxious. He immediately walked to Kakashi's bed and shrugged his shoulders. Teacher Kakashi, I need your teaching too. As for you, I'm well prepared. I have already found someone to guide you in your training. Kakashi smiled. Who is it? Naruto was stunned, looked around, and finally his eyes fell on my guy. Could it be Mr. Thick Eyebrows? If it is Mr. Thick Eyebrows, it is not impossible. After all, Mr. Thick Eyebrows is 8 gates, or something like Dungear is still very powerful. My guy twitched his mouth. Naruto, although I don't mind teaching you, my kidney was pierced by kunai, and it will take some time to recover. I'm afraid I can't teach you before the official game of the Chunin exam begins. Who is that? As Naruto finished speaking, footsteps sounded outside the ward again. It seems that they are here. Kakashi looked at the door. Hearing this, everyone, including the second pillar, was attracted by the footsteps outside the door. The door of the room creaked open, and Ino, with her blonde hair tied into a ponytail, walked in with 2 bouquets of flowers. Following behind her were Nara Shikamaru and Akimichi Choji. Teacher Kakashi, Teacher Gay, we just finished visiting Teacher Asuma, and we came to see you. Naruto and Sasuke are here too, as well as Lee. Are you also staying in Kakashi's ward? Ino greeted everyone. Hello, everyone. Shikamaru also responded weakly. As for Choji, he just ate potato chips on the spot. The scene suddenly became quiet, and Naruto's face turned bitter in an instant, almost crying. Pointing at Inoshika Chow, he asked while crying, Teacher Kakashi, is this the teacher you found for me? PS. First update, please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 145 Kakashi pretending to be confused. No. Kakashi shook his head. It's me. As soon as he finished speaking, a young ninja wearing sunglasses, a headscarf, and a tight black combat uniform walked in. It was Ebisu. Ebisu pushed his sunglasses and raised his hand to greet everyone. Hey, everyone. Why is it this Matsulini? I also want to be taught by Kakashi sensei, and if not, I won't be able to bring that guy back. To Ebisu's surprise, Naruto's reaction was not as big as he had imagined, and he didn't even mention the incident of him being attacked by the harem last time. He just clenched his fists and his shoulders trembled slightly. Even anyone could see that he was abnormal at the moment. Ebisu was stunned and looked at Kakashi in surprise. What happened? Well, I guess so. Kakashi nodded and turned his eyes to Naruto. His expression suddenly became serious, and he said in a serious tone, Naruto, I can deeply understand your feelings at the moment, but after experiencing this Chunin exam, I believe you also deeply understand that your foundation is not solid. At this point, the figure of Kunai appeared in Kakashi's mind. That guy, since he was in the ninja school, he has practiced the basics to a level that even the Jonin can't reach. Just graduated from the ninja school, he defeated his team leader with only the 3 body techniques and taijutsu. If you really want to catch up with him, it is impossible without making up for the basics. Hearing this, Naruto fell into a brief silence. After a long while, he spoke, I understand, Teacher Kakashi. Then he took a deep breath, and became his usual funny look again. Pointing at Ebisu, he questioned, but can this Matsulini really teach me well? Matsulini? Is Mr. Ebisu a Matsulini? Kakashi looked at Ebisu with some suspicion. Ebisu recalled the scene of himself being trapped in the harem technique, and his old face turned red. He quickly denied. How is it possible? Don't listen to Naruto's nonsense. What nonsense? You were trapped in my harem at the beginning. Before Naruto could finish his words, Ebisu quickly covered Naruto's mouth and whispered to him, please, don't say it. I will treat you to whatever you want to eat or buy later. Then Kakashi, we will leave first. As he said that, Ebisu pulled Naruto out. It seems that these two guys have known each other for a long time. So Naruto, you should do your best. Looking at the two people going away, Kakashi took out a book called Intimate Paradise from under the pillow and began to study it carefully. Another boring book like this. Then I'm leaving too, Kakashi. Don't forget what you promised me to train you. Nejiru glanced at the intimate paradise in Kakashi's hand, waved his hand impatiently, and turned to leave. Suddenly, the originally crowded ward was left with only 3 guests, Ino, Shika, and Chao. Teacher Kakashi, the one you mentioned just now should be Fujiwara Chiya, right? Shikamaru moved a stool and sat next to Kakashi. Why are you suddenly so interested in him? Is it because of Asuma? Kakashi's face rose. Asuma is our teacher after all. Shikamaru crossed his arms and nodded without denying. If that's the case, then I think you'd better give up. Kakashi sighed. Why? Shikamaru asked in confusion. Because he will die. Kakashi put away his intimate paradise and said seriously, to be honest, even if I fight him again, I don't think I have the slightest chance of winning. That guy can no longer be dealt with by numbers. On the contrary, the more people there are, the faster he will die. Besides, if he is angered again like Naruto did today, I can't guarantee what he will do. Then why did he do this? I remember that he was also a ninja of Konoha. Could it be that it was because Asuma's family was a Bora of Konoha that he chose to do that? Ino put the flowers on the bedside tables of Kakashi and Might Guy respectively. This kind of thing can't be said casually, but I think there must be another reason. Kakashi recalled Kainai's words in his mind. If Naruto knew his life experience and Sasuke knew the truth about the demise of the Uchiha clan, he would probably do more than me. Could it be that the demise of the Uchiha clan is really related to the Konoha high-level officials? Chiya seems to have a childhood sweetheart who is a member of the Uchiha clan and also died on the night of the clan extermination. Could it be that he killed all the Shimura clan and the Sarutobi clan because the Konoha high-level officials killed the little girl of the Uchiha clan? It is not impossible to think about it. After all, Chiya has only killed the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan in Konoha so far. He did not kill other ninjas. But if this is true, then things will be difficult. Not only Chiya, but even Sasuke may follow the path of Fujiwara Chiya in the future, which is the most troublesome. Ino was stunned. What's the reason? No, nothing. Kakashi shook his head. I'm afraid it has something to do with the Uchiha clan extermination. At this time, Shikamaru seemed to have thought of something. He glanced at the direction where Sasuke left and said to Kakashi, do you know anything? Kakashi narrowed his eyes slightly. Not long ago, Choji and I found our cousin Poji, who had teamed up with Fujiwara Chiya before. He told us something about Fujiwara Chiya. Shikamaru didn't continue because he knew Kakashi would understand without him saying anything. You are indeed Shikaku's child, but sometimes being too smart is not good. It can kill people. Kakashi reminded. I know. Shikamaru nodded. Of course he knew what the dead people Kakashi was talking about, and it involved the high-level officials of Konoha. This was beyond the scope of what a genin like him could handle, and even the Nara clan didn't dare to understand this matter in depth. While the two were talking, Ino was confused and asked in confusion, what are you talking about? No, nothing. Ino, it's almost time for us to go back. As he spoke, Shikamaru pulled Ino away. As for Choji, he pretended to understand and nodded to Kakashi and followed closely. Will someone die? It seems that Kakashi is not completely ignorant. He just pretends to be deaf and dumb. And Gigi, he actually wants me to be his teacher. It's a pity he can think of that. I'm not stupid enough to accept an apprentice in this world where betrayal of teachers and ancestors has become commonplace. Gigi, it's better to ask Orochimaru to be the teacher. But Orochimaru knows me well. He actually knows that I like to join in the fun. In a separate open-air mixed bathing area, Kai and I was soaking in the hot spring, listening to various places in Konoha village with his observation haki, while enjoying Yikang's massage. It has to be said that Yikang's level of taking care of people is getting higher and higher. When he is away from home, she takes care of almost all of Kai and I's food, clothing, housing and transportation. It makes Kai and I almost unable to leave her. PS. Second update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 146. Unlucky Jiraiya. Yikang. Master Kanai. At this moment, Yikang suddenly stopped massaging and lay on Kanai's back, holding his shoulders with both hands and drawing circles on his chest with his index finger. At this moment, Yikang was only wrapped in a bath towel. The amazing touch made Kanai's mind a little rippled. His old face turned red and he exclaimed, "Hey Yikang, what are you doing?" "Nothing. I just always feel that Master Kainai is mysterious every day, and I want to get closer to Master Kainai." As he spoke, Yikang hugged him tighter. Hey, Yikang, do you know that you are playing with fire?" Kainai let go of Yikang's hand, turned around, and put his hands on Yikang's shoulders. "If Master Kainai doesn't mind," Yikang slowly pulled off the bath towel. Hearing this, Kainai swallowed hard, staring at her unfathomable Somali trench without blinking. At this moment, the long-lost system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for triggering the system option. 1. Agree to Yikang, punish him in the open-air bath, and reward god-level medical ninjutsu. 2. Agree to Yikang, punish him in the room, and reward the camouflage technique. You can absorb other people's chakra, and change the same chakra as before. Even the most familiar people or perceptive ninjas cannot recognize it. 3. Do nothing, worse than beasts, reward god-level cooking skills. Please choose. I have endured not eating for so long. Is it finally here? Kainai's face was happy. Just when Kainai was about to choose one, he suddenly sensed something, and hurriedly held Yikang's hand that was about to tear off the bath towel. A touch of loss flashed across Yikang's eyes. "Master Kainai, what are you doing?" Kainai smiled slightly, pulled her bath towel up, pulled the bathrobe from the shore, put it on her, stroked Yikang's face, and smiled. "Go to the room, and wait for me." "Yeah." Hearing Kainai's words, Yikang was stunned, but soon reacted, responded timidly, blushed, and ran into the house. Seeing the place where Yikang disappeared, Kainai sighed helplessly. How could I forget that guy? Just now, he felt a strong chakra approaching the direction of the women's bath next door. And Ebisu and Naruto are also walking towards this place. As expected, Ebisu wants to teach Naruto to tread water so as to better control chakra. And the guy who came to the women's bath to peek, but his chakra is not weak, is only the lustful sage Jiraiya who has lust but no courage. I just don't know what kind of expression he will show when he finds Tsunade to be the Hokage, and sees that the woman he has been thinking about has become a wife and a mother. It must be very exciting. But before that, let's play with this guy first. Thinking of this in his heart, Kainai actually laughed unkindly, and recalled the appearance of Ruha in Stephen Chow's previous life movie Flirting Scholar. He made seals with both hands, and separated a shadow clone. The shadow clone used the transformation technique again. With a bang, the smoke dissipated, and turned into a cute and plump girl with a cute back. His original body turned into a samurai, holding the mirror flower and water moon, blocking the hole where Jiraiya was peeping at the women's bathhouse. The moment he looked over, the mirror flower and water moon were released. What is that? A samurai? When did Konoha's women's bathhouse have samurai? It's really disappointing. Let's go to the mixed bathing area and have a look. I hope there will be beautiful girls. Looking at the samurai guarding the women's bathhouse, Jiraiya, who didn't know that he had been hit by the mirror flower and water moon, felt bored. He took the telescope and turned to the mixed bathing area, just in time to see Kainai's shadow clone transformed into Ruha. Jiraiya's eyes suddenly lit up. What a nice girl, but it's a pity that I can't see the front. Turn around quickly. Hearing this, the shadow clone slowly turned around. Reproduced the classic scene of Ruha picking her nose in the movie. Click. Jiraiya was instantly petrified on the spot. At the same time, Ebisu and Naruto, who were practicing on the side, also discovered Jiraiya who was peeping. Just like in the original novel, there was no scene where Jiraiya summoned a toad to knock down Ebisu. Instead, Ebisu kicked Jiraiya in the face accurately, and Jiraiya remained petrified and fell to the ground. At this time, Ebisu finally recognized Jiraiya. This is Teacher Ebisu. This big pervert didn't react. Then, seeing that Jiraiya was kicked and didn't react, Naruto thought Jiraiya was pretending to be dead. He made a tiger seal with his hands, stood behind Jiraiya, and stabbed the vital point of the chakra in his body, the moon gate. The secret of Konohagakuyo's physical technique. 1,000 years of killing Jiraiya was instantly released from the petrified state. His face first turned blue, and then showed an intoxicated look. I felt numb and soft all over, and there was an indescribable sourness. Then a sharp pain came, and Jiraiya couldn't help screaming. "Ah, you deserve it." Hearing Jiraiya's scream, Kainai laughed unkindly, put away the mirror flower and water moon, and instantly got into Yikang's house. Chapter 6, Yikang. Thousands of words are omitted here. Near the evening, the sun sets, and the sunset in the west is set against the major buildings of Konoha, which looks particularly beautiful and magnificent. Konoha Hokage Building. After suppressing the unfavorable rumors about himself, Sarutobi Hiruzen made an appointment with Uchiha Koharu and Mito Kadoen, the two elders of the village. Of course, he also made an appointment with Jinzo. It's just that the other party has not shown up yet. "Hiruzen, what's the matter with you coming to us so anxiously?" Uchiha Koharu asked puzzledly. "Could it be that Orochimaru guy showed up again?" Mito Kadoen replied. "No, it's not him. It's a person who is more dangerous than him." As soon as Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking, an Anbu ninja knocked on the door. "Hokage-sama, Danzo-sama said that he has caught a cold and is not feeling well, so he cannot see you. Go, tell Danzo directly, tell him to stop lying, and say that Fujiwara Chiya, who killed my whole family, is back. If after hearing this, he still doesn't want to come, then never come." Even through the gate, the Anbu ninja could feel Sarutobi Hiruzen's anger. For a moment, Uchiha Koharu and Mito Kadoen looked at each other, with a solemn look in their eyes. "Yes, Hokage-sama." The Anbu ninja responded respectfully outside the door, and hurried to notify Danzo. Uchiha Koharu asked in surprise, "Why didn't Fujiwara Chiya, that kid, perish with the Uchiha?" "That kid was pretending. He controls an extremely terrifying illusion, and deceived all of us." Sarutobi Hiruzen gritted his teeth. PS. The third update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 147 Konoha F4 is finally going to suffer. That guy was pretending. He controlled an extremely terrifying illusion, and deceived all of us. Sarutobi Hiruzen gritted his teeth. What he cared about most was his reputation. Originally, according to the plan, he and Orochimaru had tacitly agreed to have a life and death duel between master and apprentice in public. Then, with all the darkness he had carried in his life, he would die in the name of a hero, like the previous Hokage, protecting Konoha. End his glorious and wonderful life. Leave a good name before and after his death. Remembered by all the people of Konoha. But now there is the incident of Fujiwara Chiya. Not only did he know about his scandal, but he even planned to spread it. Just the death of Konoha White Fang and Hisashi today, as well as the truth about the extermination of the Sarutobi family, caused a great response among the major families. He had to work hard to suppress it. Even so, it still brought a dirty stroke to his career as a Hokage. If he were to spread the truth about the extermination of the Uchiha clan in Naruto's life experience, by then, his fame would be ruined. So what's the situation now? Uchiha Koharu asked. "I sent 3 elite jonins, Kakashi, Gai, Asuma, Ibiki, and Hayate, and 2 special jonins, to ambush him. But in less than half an hour, when I arrived with a group of Anbu, they were all defeated." Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a serious face. "So how are Kakashi and Gai now?" Mito Kadoen asked hurriedly. Uchiha Koharu also became nervous immediately. Now the 3 ninjas have left, and the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze sacrificed himself to seal the Nine Tails. The Sarutobi, Shimura, and Uchiha clans were destroyed. Orochimaru, the only one of the 3 ninjas who became a rebel, suddenly appeared in the Chunin exam again, with unknown intentions. As an ally, Tsunagakure also began to stir. Konoha's strength has dropped to its lowest point. At this critical moment, if several pillars of the village fell, Konoha would be in danger. Especially Kakashi, although his strength is far from being able to serve as Hokage, he is the only one in their generation who is qualified to inherit the position of Hokage. Once something happens, there will be a gap in the future of the 6th or 7th generation of Hokage. Fortunately, Naruto and others suddenly appeared, delaying a lot of time, and then the daughter of Shinku appeared and stopped him. Otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Speaking of the situation at that time, Sarutobi Hiruzen was also afraid. He was able to easily defeat Kakashi and the other 5. It seems that Kainai was not talking nonsense when he said that he could kill everyone in the barrier including him in 5 seconds. After these words came out, Uchiha Koharu and Mitokado breathed a sigh of relief, and they all widened their eyes with disbelief on their faces. Uchiha Koharu exclaimed, "Why, even you are not his opponent? If I were 10 years younger, I would not take his strength seriously. But Fujiwara Chiya has learned the Uchiha family's fire formation, and at that time, Kakashi and other wounded, and a group of genin who passed the Chunin exam preliminaries were trapped in the fire formation. For their safety, I can't act rashly." Sarutobi Hiruzen saved his face. In fact, Chiya's terrifying illusion alone was enough to threaten his life. And according to the information obtained from Kakashi, Might Guy and others, Chiya's abilities in all aspects are also ridiculously strong. If they really fight, unless he uses a ghost ceiling, he, the strongest Hokage in history, will have no chance of winning. Hearing this, Uchiha Koharu and Mitokado both fell silent. Although their old friend, the strongest Hokage in history, has some self-promotion in it, he is the highest fighting force in the village now. Orochimaru alone has already made them anxious and exhausted. If there is another Fujiwara Chiya who is more powerful than Sarutobi Hiruzen, things will be troublesome. Is the Konoha F4 finally going to get together? Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the disguise technique in the hot spring hotel. Listening to the system prompts in his mind and the conversations of Sarutobi Hiruzen and others in the Hokage building, Chiya slowly got up, with a slight upward corner of his mouth, and a cunning arc. "Master Chiya, why don't you sleep a little longer?" Seeing Chiya getting up, Yikang hugged Chiya from the back, bringing a fragrant breeze. Feeling the softness on his back, and the faint body fragrance, and then seeing the bedsheet, there was a plum blossom on it without knowing when. Kanai smiled slightly, stroked Yikang's face, and said softly, "I have something to go out first, you can sleep a little longer." "Yeah." Yikang nodded with a flushed face, and a happy look appeared on his face. Kanai smiled, put on his clothes, and disappeared in the hotel. This time, he finally caught F4 appearing at the same time, so he should give them some love. The Root is an organization that hides deeper than the Anbu, and what it does is even more shady. It has existed for a long time with the tacit approval of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Danzo and the Root have become the most direct and effective sword of Konoha, eradicating all threats inside and outside the village with the attitude of rather kill by mistake than let go. Its headquarters is even less known. Just like its name, it is deeply rooted in the earth. Would release thorn killing technique. A little girl who looks like Danzo and looks about 5 or 6 years old made seals with both hands, accompanied by a childish cry, and several thumb-thick, vine-like wood rose from the ground, then slowly withered, without any movement. The little girl herself, with a plop, panted and knelt on the ground, gasping for breath. Danzo stood behind the girl with a cane, and there was a Root ninja on each side to protect him. Seeing the girl's failure in performing would release, Danzo closed his eyes in disappointment. The girl in front of him was none other than his eldest daughter Shimura. Danzo had a daughter and 2 sons. Among them, the eldest daughter, Shimura, was born after he drank the water of the mother and child river. At the same time, she was also the descendant he was most satisfied with. Inherited the wood release of the first generation of Hokage. The second son, Shimura, was born to him, and a certain Root Jonin. He had good ninja talent, but he did not inherit wood release. In his lifetime, his achievements would not be too high, and his career as a Jonin would have ended. The third son, Shimura, was born to him and himself. Although the genes of the first generation were detected, perhaps because the blood relationship was too close, his body was abnormally thin. He died less than a year after he was born. After that, Danzo tried several more times, but perhaps because the previous babies did not have a good confinement, he never got pregnant again. Danzo's wood release family plan has since been declared bankrupt. PS. First update, please recommend on monthly votes. Thanks to book friend *0266 right square bracket left square bracket dick2dos for the 1500 starting coins reward. Chapter 148 Danzo becomes a mother, Shimura Zyangho. Sensing Danzo's disappointment, the girl, who was used to the former's ruthless methods, had a trace of fear in her pupils, and hurriedly apologized. "I'm sorry, father, I disappoint you." It's okay, Xianghuo, you are still young, and your chakra is not enough, so it is understandable that you can't succeed. Danzo's stiff face rarely showed a soft smile, although it was uglier than crying. Danzo was still very tolerant of this daughter. Although the strength of the inherited would release was limited, even slightly inferior to Yamato. But this was enough to make Danzo feel relieved. After all, the Shimura clan was wiped out, including Danzo himself, and only 3 people were left. The second son did not inherit the wood release, so his achievements were destined not to be too high, and only the eldest daughter had good talent. When the eldest daughter grows up, she will be transferred to the Sharingan, and she will definitely become a generation of strong people in the future. Knock knock. At this moment, there was an untimely knock on the door outside. Didn't I tell you that when I'm teaching Xianghuo, no one is allowed to come and disturb me? Danzo shouted in dissatisfaction. Why are the people under his command becoming more and more incompetent? Master Danzo, that Anbu just came again. He said that the third Hokage asked him to tell you that Fujiwara Chiya, who killed your family, is back. The root ninja outside the door also knew that his master was unhappy and said carefully, Fujiwara Chiya. Danzo was stunned, and a hint of anger that was difficult to conceal suddenly appeared in his pupils. How is that kid now? He severely injured Kakashi, my guy, Sarutobi Asuma and other senior ninjas in the Death Forest, and then he slipped away from the gate of Konoha under the eyes of the third Hokage and many Anbu. Asshole, so many people can't kill a kid. What are you still living for? A bunch of trash. Danzo was furious. He was already in a bad mood and cursed the third Hokage. He was not interested in teaching his daughter, and after giving a few instructions to Hikaru, he shouted to the outside, come on, take me to see him. Danzo walked out of the root organization base with 2 men cursing. He met the Anbu sent by Sarutobi Hiruzen and shouted, tell me everything you know about Fujiwara Chiya. Yes, Lord Danzo. The Anbu ninja naturally did not dare to disobey Danzo. While leading Danzo and the other 2 to the Hokage building quickly, he reported carefully. The root organization base was not far from the Hokage building. Not long after, Danzo and his group of 4 arrived at the Hokage building. Before entering the door, Danzo heard Mitamanen's sighing voice. I didn't expect that Fujiwara Chiya would be so strong. Yes, and he knows so many secrets of Konoha, and the threat level has surpassed Orochimaru. Uchiha Koharu continued. A little Fujiwara Chiya has left you helpless. Hiruzen, Koharu, and En, it seems that you are really old. Danzo sneered, pushed open the door of the Hokage's office, and walked in with a cane. Unlike the already old Sarutobi Hiruzen, Uchiha Koharu, and Mitaman, because of the transplantation of the first generation of cells, Danzo looks much younger, but because of taking the water of the mother and child river, the body's hormone secretion is disordered, and he looks a bit androgynous. Seeing Danzo coming in, Mitaman and Uchiha Koharu immediately showed a touch of joy on their faces. After all, although Danzo has many bad ideas, it is better than having no ideas at all. But soon, including Sarutobi Hiruzen, they were all stunned again. It was really that Danzo's appearance at this moment had changed too much compared to the past. It was so big that they could hardly recognize him. It would be fine if he just changed to a feminine one. He even wore a women's kimono. If it weren't for his Adam's apple, at first glance, anyone who didn't know him would have thought he was an old lady in his 60s. Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that Danzo had given birth to a child just like his son. With a changeable look in his eyes, he asked directly, Danzo, what do you think? Since Fujiwara Chiya was able to stop because of Kyuubi's arrival when he had an absolute advantage, it means that Fujiwara Chiya has not completely cut off the past. Why don't we do the opposite, capture Kyuubi and his former teammates, and force him to fall into the trap? I doubt it. Danzo said his bad idea. No. X3 however, before Danzo could finish his words, he was decisively rejected by Sarutobi Hiruzen, Uchiha Koharu, and Mitokado En. Sarutobi Hiruzen refused because he knew that he would not live long. He didn't want to do anything that would ruin his reputation. And even if he did so, it would be counterproductive. If Fujiwara Chiya gets angry and kills Konohamaru, Asuma and his beloved granddaughter, he won't be able to cry. Utane Koharu and Mito Kadoen were simply afraid. Fujiwara Chiya could kill the Shimura clan and the Sarutobi clan, so there was no guarantee that he would not kill their families. They were not like Danzo, who was alone and not afraid of wearing shoes. They couldn't afford to offend such a ruthless person. Why? Danzo was stunned and asked subconsciously. He didn't expect that even Utane Koharu and Mito Kadoen would refute him. Kuro is the daughter of Shinku. Her loyalty to the village has been obvious to all for so many years. Besides, she is also a victim. We can't let her heart be chilled because of Fujiwara Chiya's matter. Sarutobi Hiruzen said righteously. Internally, Utane Koharu and Mito Kadoen might support Danzo, but externally, they were as weak as Sarutobi Hiruzen, not to mention the evil star like Chiya. They often wear the same pants as Sarutobi Hiruzen. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, they hurriedly nodded in agreement. Hiruzen is right. That's hard to say. Who can prevent Yuhikuni and those two brats from having an affair with Chiya? Adhering to the roots principle of better to kill by mistake than to let go, Shimura Danzo once again clarified his point of view. Sarutobi Hiruzen slammed the table. Enough. Danzo, I asked you to discuss countermeasures, not to cause trouble. I'm the Hokage. Hiruzen, you will regret it. Shimura Danzo held back for a long time before he managed to say this. Just as the four were thinking about new countermeasures, an Anbu hurriedly knocked on the door. Hokage-sama, great joy even through the door. Sarutobi Hiruzen could feel the excitement in the Anbu's tone. For a moment, Konoha F4 looked at each other and thought of a possibility at the same time. Could it be that Jiraiya is back? At present, this is the only thing that can make them happy. Come in. Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke and ordered the man to come in and talk. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 149 Kainai in action. The door of the office creaked open. An Anbu ninja wearing a cat mask walked in quickly. Strangely, the other party did not salute, but in the eyes of Konoha F4, he knelt on one knee, clenched his right fist on the ground, and lowered his forehead slightly. It's Naga-kun. Tell me, what's the good news? Seeing that it was his direct Anbu, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not have any doubts, and asked with his eyes. Hearing this, Utane Koharu, Mito Kadoen, and Shimura Danzo also cast curious eyes. The Anbu ninja named Naga-kun said excitedly, Hokage-sama, Jiraiya-sama is back. As soon as this was said, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Utane Koharu, and Mito Kadoen's eyes lit up at the same time. In this era, when the Akatsuki organization has not yet emerged, Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas, can be regarded as the ceiling of the ninja world's combat power. If Jiraiya really comes back, then for Konoha at this stage, it can be said to be a timely help. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up suddenly and asked hurriedly, where is he now? Near the women's bathhouse. The Anbu ninja answered hesitantly. This guy is still the same. Sarutobi Hiruzen's old face turned red, and he was curious and amused. He sat back in the Hokage's office chair. Okay, go and call him over, and tell him that this old guy is looking for him. Yes, Lord Hokage. The Anbu ninja responded respectfully, and turned to walk outside. However, what no one noticed was that the moment the Anbu ninja walked out, he left behind a smoke bomb. A smoke bomb filled with I love one stick of firewood. The next second, the smoke bomb exploded, and the powder containing I love one stick of firewood drifted throughout the Hokage's office. But Sarutobi Hiruzen, Utane Koharu, Mito Kadoen, and Shimura Danzo were unaware of it. When they reacted, they felt as if their whole body was on fire. Hiruzen, Danzo, and En, do you feel that your Hokage's office is a little hot? Utane Koharu looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen with a flushed face, and said hesitantly, yes, a little. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo, and Mito Kadoen all blushed. The only difference was that Sarutobi Hiruzen and Mito Kadoen blushed when they saw Utane Koharu, and Danzo blushed when he saw Sarutobi Hiruzen. At this moment, they seemed to have returned to their youth. Then, let's cool down. The four looked at each other and finally took off their clothes tacitly. After a while, the sound of eerie and terrifying music came from inside. The Anbu ninja stood outside the door and heard the sound inside clearly. He took off his mask, revealing a face that was enough to drive Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo crazy. It was Kanai. Since the third Hokage asked me to notify Jiraiya, I'll just be a good person and notify you. Thinking this in his heart, Kanai murmured and disappeared in the corridor in front of the Hokage's office. Hyuga Clanland. Hyuga Niji found Hyuga Hayashi and repeated Kanai's words. After listening to Niji's words, Hyuga Hayashi sighed helplessly and murmured, "Is that so? I didn't expect that young man even knew this. Clan leader, is what Fujiwara Chiya said true? My father really?" Niji was speechless. "You can still call me uncle like before." Hayashi nodded, and his originally serious face actually revealed a rare gentle smile. He turned back to the room and fumbled around to find the suicide note left by Hisashi before his death. Hayashi handed over the suicide note. "This is what your father left." After saying that, in the shocked eyes of Niji, he actually knelt down with a plop and performed a ground seat ceremony to him. Ningxi opened the suicide note and burst into tears. At this moment, the voice of the Anbu ninja suddenly sounded outside the room. He knelt on one knee and said, "Hayashi-sama, the Hokage invites you to the Hokage's office in half an hour." "Hokage-sama?" Hyuga Hayashi frowned slightly. Usually, the Hokage sent messages through the Ninja Eagle, and rarely used the Anbu to send messages directly. Could it be because of the matter of Hisashi? But he had promised the third generation not long ago that he would not let Ningxi resent the Hokage. Suspicious, Hyuga Hayashi stood up and opened his Byakugan. He checked the chakra of the Anbu ninja across the room. After finding that it was indeed a real Anbu, he said, "I know, I will go there later." Nara Clanland. Nara Shikaku, Nara Shikamaru, and Nara Yoshino are enjoying dinner. "Shikamaru, are you still depressed because of Asuma's matter?" Shikaku looked at his depressed son and asked with a smile. Shikamaru nodded. "I always feel that he cares about me." "Dad, what kind of person is Fujiwara Chiya?" "Well," Shikaku thought for a moment and replied, "I have hardly ever interacted with him, but based on what you saw and heard today, maybe he is just a young man who likes to do whatever he wants." "What does it mean to do whatever he wants?" Shikamaru frowned. "It means that he is not bound by common sense, but he has the power to override common sense, so he can do whatever he wants. I believe you should have guessed the root cause of the conflict between that young man and the third generation. The third generation, and he had a mortal enemy, and he retaliated in the same way. It's that simple." Shikaku replied. "The third generation really got into trouble with a terrible enemy." Shikamaru sighed helplessly. Just when he wanted to say something, Shikaku suddenly covered his mouth and made a hushing gesture with a solemn face, and then Chiya, disguised as an Anbu, appeared in his yard. "Lord Shikaku, Lord Hokage invites you." A deep voice sounded outside the house. Shikaku frowned. "When?" "Half an hour later." Chiya replied. "I know, I'll go over later." Shikaku replied. After Chiya left, Shikaku let go of his son's mouth, and Shikamaru asked, "Dad, it's really strange that the Hokage's direct Anbu came to you directly. I guess it's because of Fujiwara Chiya's matter." Shikaku sighed helplessly. "Will that have an impact on Shikamaru?" Shikamaru's mother Yoshino asked worriedly. "Things haven't gotten to that point yet." Shikaku shook his head. He knew the third Hokage very well. Although he was really a nobody in essence, he paid great attention to his image. And his Inoshika Chow family were all hardcore Hokage factions. They would prosper together and suffer together. The third Hokage would not ignore the three clans, just because Shikamaru heard unfavorable rumors about the third Hokage. The same thing happened to the Yamanaka clan, the Akimichi clan, the Inuzuka clan, the Aburame clan, and other major Konoha clans. In the end, Chiya found Jiraiya. PS. The third update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 150 Konoha F4 Social Death. At this time, it was completely dark. Jiraiya had just finished instructing Naruto in a day's training, and was talking to Ebisu. Seeing Chiya suddenly appear in Anbu clothing, his slender white eyebrows raised slightly, and he instinctively sensed that something was wrong, but he couldn't find out what was wrong, so he asked indifferently, "What's the matter?" "Jiraiya-sama, I finally found you. The Hokage-sama wants to see you," Chiya said respectfully. "Of course I know, except for the old man and those old guys. I guess no one can command you now." Tell me, what does the old man want to see me about? Jiraiya asked calmly. I guess you already know what happened to Orochimaru and Fujiwara Chiya today. Chiya continued. Of course, it's hard not to know, especially the kid from the Fujiwara family. He's really a young man to be feared. He even almost got that old man into it. It's really a generation replacing the old. Jiraiya's mind flashed with the figure of Kainai wearing a red cloud and black robe. He thought to himself that the old man was really stupid to force such a powerful kid to join that organization. Kainai said, please come with me to see the Hokage. I know. Really, it's too troublesome to go to each one of them. You go back first. Tell the old man that I'll be there later. Jiraiya waved his hand impatiently. When Jiraiya arrived at the Hokage building, the corridor in front of the Hokage's office was already crowded. Hey everyone, why are you all here? Jiraiya looked around and found that all the heads of Konoha who could be named, including Hinata Hayashi, Narushikaku, Yamanaka Inoichi, and Akimichi Choza, had arrived. The clan leaders looked in the direction of the voice and saw Jiraiya coming. They were so moved that they almost cried, as if they had found their backbone. They all made way for Jiraiya. Shikaku walked up to Jiraiya and said, Jiraiya-sama, hey, isn't this Shikaku? Long time no see, why are you all gathered at the door? Jiraiya asked casually. Shikaku said hesitantly, actually, we were all summoned by the Hokage-sama. Jiraiya was stunned and asked subconsciously, since the old man summoned you, why don't you go in? Hearing this, Shikaku, Hayashi, Heiai, Choza and others looked at each other. After a while, as if they had made up their minds, they took a deep breath and replied, it may be inconvenient for the Hokage-sama. In fact, they arrived half an hour ago. But in the Hokage's office, strange voices of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo, Uchiha Koharu, and Mito Kadoen were heard from time to time. There were many ninjas with sense of smell and vision, and the heads of the major families were all experienced people, so they naturally knew what the strange sound meant. They all stopped at the same time and dared not step forward. What's the inconvenience? Could it be that the old man is using the telescope to peek at a girl taking a bath? Just kidding. How is it possible? Jiraiya laughed and walked to the door of the Hokage's office. Under the gaze of many family heads present, he opened the door of the office. The next moment, a strong smell of heather hit his face. Jiraiya was stunned. Narushikaku was stunned, Yamanaka Inoichi was stunned, Akimichi Choza was stunned, and Hyuga Hayashi was stunned. All the people who were called to the Hokage's office by Kainai were stunned. Their eyes shattered on the ground in an instant. As if they had seen something extremely terrifying, they all trembled at the same time. But soon, the expressions on their faces were replaced by shock and fear. Because Danzo's right arm, which was transplanted with the first generation cells and covered with Sharingan, was exposed. The bandage on his forehead was also torn off, revealing a scarlet Sharingan. But Danzo was completely unaware of this. Under the control of Kagami Sujetsu, he was still immersed in the carnival with Sarutobi Hiruzen, Uchiha Koharu, and Mito Kadoen. The three views of everyone in the field were instantly shattered, and it was terrifying to think about it carefully. No one had expected that Danzo would be so crazy. It would be fine if he transplanted the first generation cells, but he actually transplanted so many Sharingan. And they were all three Megatama. How many Uchiha clan members had to be killed to obtain this? It's time. Kainai, who was hiding in the dark, saw all this. He held Kagami Sujetsu in his hand and silently said in his heart, shatter, Kagami Sujetsu. Suddenly, Sarutobi Hiruzen and the other four woke up from the carnival and looked at the open door of the Hokage's office at the same time. Looking at the many backbones of Konoha headed by Jiraiya, the four of them looked at each other. Although they were still hot and unbearable, they were ashamed at this moment. Especially Shimura Danzo, he was like a mouse encountering a cat. He didn't care about the horrified eyes of the crowd. He hurriedly pulled a torn piece of clothing from the ground to cover his right arm and right eye. He made a seal with both hands, and with a bang, he turned into smoke and disappeared in the Hokage's office. At this time, Jiraiya and others finally reacted from their astonishment. Jiraiya didn't say anything, but just closed the door of the Hokage's office with a solemn face. At this moment, Jiraiya finally understood why he felt something was wrong when the Enbu came to find him before. As expected, the other party did it on purpose. The purpose was to attract the patriarchs of the major families of Konoha to watch this extremely eye-catching but terrifying scene. Jiraiya, what should we do now? Although Narashikaku, as Konoha's think tank, was shocked by the scene just now, he also realized that something was wrong and asked Jiraiya carefully. Jiraiya asked solemnly, tell me, who called you here? Including the third Hokage, all the Konoha high-level officials were tricked. The one who was tricked the most was Shimura Danzo. The two secrets of the first generation cells and the Sharingan were exposed nakedly in front of everyone. This time he can't clear himself, even if he jumps into the Yellow River. Therefore, this can't be an order from the Konoha high-level officials. It was an Enbu wearing a cat-faced mask, including Narashikaku. Everyone gave the same answer. I was also called here by an Enbu wearing a cat-faced mask. Jiraiya frowned. Jiraiya-sama, doesn't that mean? Shikaku said hesitantly. Jiraiya nodded solemnly. There is no doubt that all of us have been calculated. That person deliberately led us here for the purpose of. Shikaku added, but Jiraiya-sama, everyone knows the Enbu with the cat face mask. He is indeed the direct Enbu of the third Hokage. Moreover, although the perception type ninjas such as the Hyuga clan leader, the Inuzuka clan leader, and the Aburame clan leader had doubts at the time, they had all been investigated. The possibility of others' trickery and transformation can be completely ruled out. That guy, why did he specially call everyone over to see such a scene? PS. 4th update, please recommend and vote for me. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.